Unexpectedly stumbling upon a complete planet, one finds an abundance of rare minerals, advanced technologies that are millennia ahead of Earth, and a crashed alien warship, alongside living beasts. Faced with this treasure capable of driving any nation into madness, Chen Ziang did not lose his composure. He promptly dialed the number etched in his DNA. "Hello, is this the government? I have discovered a planet and wish to gift it to my homeland, shipping included." Thus began the rapid ascent of the Great Xia. While other nations were struggling for technological advancements, Great Xia had already unveiled controllable nuclear fusion to illuminate cities. While others were still squabbling over lunar resources, Great Xia had established bases on the new planet. Foreign spies were in disarray. "Please, do not make this public. Our technological tree is about to be derailed by you." Global netizens erupted. "Great Xia, how is your technology always 5 centuries ahead of us?" The official spokesperson for Great Xia smiled. "No comment. All I can say is, we have a particularly diligent citizen." At that moment, Chen Ziang, who remained hidden in the shadows, was contemplating the Planetary Development Agreement and the prestigious appointment as the chief scientific advisor that had just been sent by the state. It seemed he had inadvertently become the leader of this extraordinary venture. Chapter 1. The unexpected discovery of a complete planet. The key turned in the lock with a soft click, its sound resonating clearly in the quiet hallway. Chen Ziang pushed open the somewhat antiquated security door and stepped into the living room, which was filled with the aroma of home-cooked meals. "Ziang, you're back?" His mother, Zhou Huilan, peered out from the kitchen, holding a plate of meticulously cut and neatly arranged fruit. However, her gaze quickly bypassed the newly arrived Chen Ziang and landed on the young man lounging comfortably on the sofa. Her tone softened instantly. "Xiaozhe, do try this mango. Your father went to several fruit stores specifically to find it, claiming it's your favorite Australian mango, and it's exceptionally sweet." Chen Ziang, his younger brother by 2 years, whom their parents had adopted a decade ago, was engrossed in his phone, fingers swiping rapidly. Upon hearing his mother, he lazily lifted his eyelids and offered a perfunctory as a greeting. "Bro, you're back." The way he called him bro lacked warmth. Chen Ziang nodded silently. His throat constricted as if something was lodged within, preventing him from uttering more words. His gaze involuntarily drifted towards his father, Chen Zhangwo, who was seated beside Chen Ziang, holding a brand-new packaging box emblazoned with a well-known smartphone brand S logo. "Ah, Ziang." His father noticed his gaze and a fleeting hint of embarrassment crossed his face. He instinctively rubbed the smooth surface of the phone box. "Xiaozhe's phone broke during gym class today. The screen is shattered, and it's inconvenient for his studies. So, I got him a new one." He paused, seemingly seeking to strike a balance, adding, "Didn't you just change your phone last semester? It should still be functional, right?" Chen Ziang nodded again in silence. His phone was indeed intact, fully operational. However, it was a basic model he had painstakingly saved for over an entire summer, working under the scorching sun, distributing flyers, and serving in a restaurant, accumulating every penny through sweat. The phone his father had just handed to Chen Ziang was clearly the latest flagship model, expensive and extravagant in comparison. This unspoken contrast felt like a tiny needle piercing his heart. "Ziang, there are leftovers from dinner in the kitchen. If you're hungry, feel free to heat them up," his mother said, already hurrying towards the sofa, placing the meticulously prepared mango in front of Chen Ziang. "Xiaozhe has a math competition tomorrow. It's crucial for him to prepare his mind and maintain peak condition." Chen Ziang finally set aside his phone, his face a blend of pride and entitlement as he speared a piece of golden mango flesh and popped it into his mouth, mumbling, "Mom, I know. Don't make it so intense. It's just a competition." Chen Ziang stood still, feeling the coldness of the floor seep through the thin soles of his shoes, the chill radiating through his veins. This scene had unfolded countless times throughout his life, so familiar it was suffocating. The excellent grades he worked hard to achieve often earned him nothing more than a response to keep trying. Yet, even the slightest progress made by Chen Ziang, or merely his participation in an event, garnered him abundant attention, praise, and material rewards. He had once doubted if he was truly the biological child of this family. The sense of alienation was overwhelming. However, a DNA test he stumbled upon shattered that illusion. He was indeed the biological son of Chen Zhangwo and Zhou Huilan. In contrast, Chen Ziang was the adopted child, unrelated by blood. This reality sometimes made the persistent favoritism all the more ironic and incomprehensible. I'm not hungry. I'll head back to my room." Chen Ziang lowered his gaze, his voice dry as he spoke. He wished to see no more, to hear no more, and to escape this space that made him feel superfluous as quickly as possible. Wait, his mother called out, her tone carrying an undeniable authority. Xiaozha has a competition tomorrow, and we want the whole family to be there to cheer him on. The atmosphere is different. You need to wake up at 7 tomorrow morning. We'll leave together. The thought of the whole family cheering felt bitter to Chen Ziang. He recalled the last time he pleaded for them to attend his school's speech competition, only to have his parents decline, citing work commitments. I'm busy, he replied tersely, unwilling to linger, turning towards the end of the hallway where his small room awaited, closing the door behind him, shutting out the laughter and joy from the living room. Leaning against the cold door, Chen Ziang took a deep breath, attempting to quell the turmoil rising within him. His cramped room was his only sanctuary. The old desk lamp on his study table was one of the rare sources of comfort he could find. He approached the desk, flicked on the lamp, and its warm glow dispelled a corner of the darkness. He carefully retrieved a seemingly ordinary hardbound notebook from the innermost compartment of his backpack. As his fingertips brushed the cover, he felt his heartbeat quicken. Opening the notebook, he found not notes, but two items that unequivocally did not belong to this world. One was an irregularly shaped metallic fragment, roughly the size of his palm, with a peculiar texture, presenting a muted silver-gray hue, its surface adorned with incomprehensible fine patterns. Cold and hard to the touch, far exceeding any earthly metal he knew. The other was even more astonishing, a weapon of exceedingly bizarre design, replete with fluid lines and unknown structures. It was crafted from a similar muted metallic material, heavy in his hand, with a section embedded with a dull, crystal-like substance and energy conduit-like structures at the rear. It lay quietly within the notebook, emanating a chilling and dangerous aura. This was not a product of earthly technology. Chen Ziang's gaze remained fixed on these two items, his mind uncontrollably replaying the scene from earlier that afternoon in the empty dormitory, a moment that would overturn his entire worldview. This afternoon, with no classes, he had been alone in his dormitory reading. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting dappled shadows on the desk, everything appearing calm and ordinary. Until, without warning, the air began to ripple. An oval halo materialized before him, suspended in midair, its edges shimmering with faint blue arcs of electricity, as if it were on the verge of extinguishing, while the interior revealed a deep, slowly rotating darkness, reminiscent of a cosmic abyss. At first, he thought his prolonged reading had led to visual fatigue, causing hallucinations. He shut his eyes tightly, shook his head, and reopened them. The portal remained. An inexplicable impulse compelled him, and he tentatively extended his finger, cautiously touching the radiant halo. Contrary to his expectations, there was no obstruction. His fingertip effortlessly penetrated, revealing an air that was starkly different, cold, arid, imbued with a pungent scent of rust, dust, and an indescribable, peculiar aroma reminiscent of a mix of ozone and decaying organic matter. An overwhelming curiosity, intertwined with his innate spirit of adventure, utterly eclipsed his fear in that moment. Taking a deep breath, as if preparing for battle, he boldly stepped forward, fully immersing himself into that luminous portal. Chapter 2. A choice to submit to the nation in an instant. The sensation of weightlessness and spatial distortion engulfed Chen Ziang, leaving him dizzy, as though he had traversed an endless tunnel. When he regained his composure, standing on solid yet unfamiliar ground, the sight before him rendered him utterly motionless. He found himself in a world of desolation, devoid of life. The sky was eternally shrouded in a leaden gray, with no sun in sight and no clouds in motion. Only a suffocating, oppressive haze. The ground was cracked, exhibiting a morbid blend of gray-black and dark red hues. As far as the eye could see, remnants of walls and peculiar, diverse architectural debris lay strewn across the wasteland, resembling the skeletal remains of colossal beasts, extending to the horizon. The air was thick with the nauseating blend of sweetness and rust that he had detected at the doorway, now intensified. The wind whispered silently, stirring the dust into small, gray whirlwinds. This place resembled a battlefield that had endured apocalyptic ravages, or perhaps a graveyard of a civilization that had been utterly forsaken. Silence reigned, deathly silence. Apart from the wind, there were no sounds of insects, birds, nor any signs of human activity. He stood in shock, absorbing the scene for several minutes before summoning the courage to cautiously explore the vicinity. He dared not stray far from the luminous portal hovering just behind him. His only hope of return. Near a twisted pile of metal that resembled the remains of a vehicle, he picked up a dull metal fragment, heavy in his hand and of unknown material. Shortly thereafter, beside a partially buried structure that resembled a control panel, he discovered a uniquely crafted firearm. Half hidden beneath layers of dust, as he brushed the surface clean and grasped the ergonomic handle, an unusual chill coursed through his arm. At that moment, a faint, agonizing rustling broke the silence. He abruptly looked up, his heart racing. Emerging from the shadows of the debris not far away, a swarm of dark creatures surged forth. They were unlike anything he had ever encountered, approximately half a meter in length, resembling grotesquely enlarged insects, adorned with dark purple chitinous exoskeletons, glimmering red compound eyes, and sharp, side-like appendages. They moved with astonishing speed, their bodies brushing against one another, creating a disconcerting sound, forming a tide of terror that surged directly toward him. A swarm. Indeed, this desolate world was not entirely devoid of life. The horrifying gnawing marks left upon the ruins hinted at the existence of monstrous beings that subsisted by devouring everything in their path. Fear seized him instantaneously, almost instinctively. He raised the peculiar firearm he had just found, wildly aiming it at the approaching horde. He had no clue how to operate it, merely pressing every protrusion that resembled a trigger or button in a frenzy. Miraculously, when he activated a certain sensitive area, the dull crystal on the firearm illuminated with an ethereal blue glow. A deep humming emanated from within the weapon. Subsequently, a searing blue-white energy beam erupted from the muzzle, striking the foremost creature with devastating force. The sound of sizzling energy filled the air. The creature, unable to emit a cry, was vaporized in an instant, leaving behind only charred remnants and a pungent odor of singed flesh. Effective. This gun was operational. A flicker of hope ignited within Chen Ziang, only to be swiftly engulfed by a greater despair. Though the energy beam was immensely powerful, it seemed to have enraged the swarm further. As more grotesque creatures emerged from the surrounding ruins, emitting sharper, more piercing shrieks and charging with increased speed. Meanwhile, the firearm in his hand, after discharging that energy beam, saw its crystals glow rapidly fade, and the humming diminished significantly. No matter how fervently he pressed, it could only emit feeble arcs of energy, utterly incapable of halting the tidal wave of insects. This was it. The shadow of death loomed over him. He could smell the foul stench emanating from the swarm, see the glint of cold light reflecting off their scythe-like limbs. Instinctively driven to survive, he attempted to fend them off with the feeble arcs of energy while desperately retreating toward the portal. Just as the nearest creature leaped into the air, its sharp appendages poised to strike his face, a powerful wave of spatial energy surged from behind. It was the portal. It seemed to have a temporal limit. He lunged backward. The scene before him blurred and distorted, yet he could still vividly discern the creature's gaping maw, lined with menacing teeth, and the boundless tide of insects behind it. In the next moment, the world spun violently. He crashed down onto the unforgiving concrete floor, the familiar sights of his dormitory flooding back into view. He scrambled backward for several meters, breathless and trembling, cold sweat saturating his back. The portal, upon his return, vanished abruptly, dissipating into the air as silently as it had appeared, as if it had never existed. Chen Ziang jolted awake from his reverie, a cold sweat drenching his back. The terror of that near-death experience lingered vividly in his mind. Instinctively, he touched his neck to ensure it was unscathed. Now, seated in his small yet secure room, he could distinctly sense the cursed door to either hell or heaven re-emerging beside him. The energy in the air began to subtly stir, an elliptical outline manifesting, perceptible only to him. It bore no physical form, more like an imprint embedded directly in his consciousness. When he concentrated on it, the outline of the door would sharpen. When he attempted to ignore it, it would fade. Yet the sense of connection remained, inescapable. Chen Ziang fixed his gaze on the door visible only to him, his heart pounding within his chest. Fear intertwined with an ineffable thrill. A world, a complete, unknown realm, rife with danger yet undoubtedly harboring unimaginable opportunities. This secret was too weighty, too astonishing. He could not confide in his parents. They would merely assume he was overwhelmed and suffering from a mental breakdown, perhaps even sending him to a hospital. He could not share this with classmates or friends, who would believe that an ordinary university student had stumbled upon a planet they would deem him mad. But that world was real. The metal fragment he had brought back and the strange energy pistol were irrefutable evidence. And the terrifying swarm. Exploring alone? That would be tantamount to suicide. He needed assistance, someone powerful enough to confront the dangers of that world. But who would believe him? Who possessed the capability to aid him? Chen Ziang fell into a prolonged contemplation, his fingers unconsciously caressing the cold gun in his notebook. Eventually, a thought began to crystallize. He recalled the National Security Education lecture organized by the school, a mandatory event for all students. During the lecture, the officer, with a stern expression, repeatedly emphasized that national security is a collective responsibility. He urged that any citizen who observes abnormalities that may jeopardize national security or social stability should promptly report through confidential channels, even providing a 24-hour hotline for such reports. Many students in the audience, including Chen Ziang, felt drowsy, considering the topic too distant from their lives, and he never imagined he would actually use that number. But now. Chapter 3. Please believe. Every word is true, taking a deep breath, as if steeling himself for a momentous decision. Chen Ziang retrieved his phone and searched for that number. His gaze swept over the two peculiar objects on the table, finally resting on the oddly designed gun. Compared to the inexplicable metallic fragment, this obvious weapon might warrant greater attention. Without further hesitation, he dialed the number etched into his very DNA from memory. Beep. Beep. The phone rang only twice before being swiftly answered by a calm, steady male voice devoid of emotion. Hello. This is the confidential hotline of the National Security Agency. Please state your situation. Chen Ziang's heart raced. He endeavored to maintain a steady voice. Yet a slight tremor betrayed his anxiety. Hello, I wish to report a situation. I may have discovered an anomalous weapon. A weapon? The voice on the other end seemed to grow serious. Please elaborate, sir. What type of weapon? How is its origin anomalous? It's a gun. Chen Ziang chose his words carefully. But it's not a conventional firearm. It seems capable of emitting energy beams. I suspect it may originate from beyond Earth or somewhere else entirely. He paused, adding the crucial detail. I can provide the physical object. There was a brief silence on the line, and after 2 or 3 seconds, the voice grew more serious and formal. Sir, the situation you are reporting is of utmost importance. Please provide your name, current location, and a reliable contact number. Our personnel will immediately proceed to verify your report. In the meantime, please ensure the item is secured and do not disclose this matter to anyone. I repeat, do not disclose this to anyone. Chen Ziang complied, stating, My name is Chen Ziang. I am currently at home. The address is. After hanging up, he exhaled deeply, feeling the tension in his body ease slightly. But an overwhelming sense of unease soon replaced it. Within 20 minutes, his phone rang again, displaying the very number he had just called. Mr. Chen Ziang, our personnel have arrived at your community. Please keep your line open and meet us at the black sedan parked by Building 3. Come alone. The efficiency of it all sent a chill down Chen Ziang's spine. He quickly wrapped the gun in an old piece of clothing, stowed it in an inconspicuous backpack, took a deep breath, and stepped out of his room. In the living room, his parents and Shunzhu appeared to be engrossed in a lively discussion about the details of an upcoming competition, punctuated by Chun's exaggerated laughter. They merely glanced at Chen Ziang as he exited, showing little curiosity, as if his comings and goings were of no significance. This habitual disregard, in that moment, offered him a sliver of relief. He silently donned his shoes, opened the front door, and stepped into the cool night air. Downstairs, a seemingly ordinary black sedan, yet with subtle details that hinted at its uniqueness, sat quietly in position, its windows tinted dark. As he approached, the passenger window lowered silently, revealing a young man in plain clothes, his hawk-like gaze assessing Chen Ziang and his backpack. Chen Ziang opened the door and took a seat in the back. Mr. Chen, please secure your seatbelt. We need to take you to a safe location for further inquiry. The young man's tone was polite, but carried an undeniable authority. The door clicked shut, and the black sedan glided silently into the night. Chen Ziang clutched his backpack tightly. The weight of the otherworldly gun inside felt alarmingly tangible. Approximately half an hour later, the vehicle entered a compound marked with a sign for the Municipal Electrical Equipment Repair Center. The young man, Zhang Shuo, guided Chen Ziang through a card access gate to a simply furnished office on the 3rd floor. Please sit, Mr. Chen. I am Zhang Shuo from the National Security Bureau. The The young man presented his identification, his demeanor calm, yet exuding undeniable formality. We need to understand the details regarding the item you reported. Please speak candidly. Taking a deep breath, Chen Ziang resolved to be forthright. Concealment would serve no purpose. He needed genuine understanding and assistance. He raised his gaze, locking eyes with Zhang Shuo. What I am about to share may sound utterly implausible, but please believe me, every word is true. Without hesitation, he recounted the events that began that afternoon with the inexplicable portal in his dormitory. He described the desolate, eerie, otherworldly landscape with its leaden skies, cracked earth, and endless ruins, along with the nauseating blend of odors. He spoke of discovering metallic shards and the peculiar gun. Finally, he detailed the terrifying insect-like creatures with scythe-like appendages and how he narrowly escaped back to his dorm as they surged towards him. Throughout his narrative, Zhang Shuo's expression shifted from official detachment to intense focus, his brow furrowing slightly. When Chen Ziang mentioned the portal and the other world, Zhang's pen paused. As Chen Ziang described the swarm and the energy weapons discharge, Zhang's gaze sharpened, scrutinizing every nuance of Chen Ziang's expressions. Once Chen Ziang finished, the room fell into a heavy silence, his breaths coming in rapid succession. Zhang Shuo did not immediately assess the validity of the tale. He remained silent for several seconds before earnestly probing several critical details. Was there any indication before the portal appeared? For instance, electromagnetic interference or distortion in the air? What was the gravity and temperature like in the other world? What color were the shells of those insects? Were their compound eyes monochromatic or multicolored? These inquiries led Chen Ziang to realize that Zhang Shuo was not dismissing him as a mere fantasist. He was treating the information with utmost seriousness. After answering, Chen Ziang observed Zhang Shuo fall silent once more before he spoke. Now, please take out the item you brought. Chen Ziang placed the otherworldly gun, wrapped in old clothing, on the table. As the weapon, exuding an aesthetic of alien technology, was fully illuminated, Zhang Shuo's breath visibly caught. Initially, he had harbored doubts about Chen Ziang's claims, considering him merely a youth afflicted with a severe case of escapism. Yet, the moment the gun was revealed, something shifted within him. It felt unsettlingly real. Zhang Shuo sprang into action, his movements more cautious than before, tinged with a hint of reverence. He employed a scanner, and as the device made contact with the gun, the screen erupted with erratic data, blaring alarms, displaying energy readings and polymer structures entirely unknown. His eyes widened, the shock evident on his face. It seemed this was indeed real. Chapter 4. Even a 1 in a million chance of truth must not be taken lightly. Zhang Shuo had participated in numerous missions and encountered various equipment. But the design and material of this object, particularly the embedded, seemingly energy-containing crystal, profoundly challenged his understanding. Coupled with Chen Ziang's earlier fantastical account, a startling possibility detonated in his mind like a thunderclap. He forcibly steadied his mind, yet his voice still carried a barely perceptible tremor. What you just mentioned. Is it true? Of course, Chen Ziang affirmed with a decisive nod. After a moment of contemplation, Zhang Shuo retrieved his phone, swiftly capturing images, particularly focusing on the incomprehensible patterns and interfaces. Donning gloves to examine the object, he felt an intriguing sensation from the metal, a peculiar touch that oscillated between coldness and warmth. He noticed what seemed to be remnants of extraterrestrial dust on the grip of the gun and carefully collected it in a sampling bag. Subsequently, he rewrapped the firearm and locked it away in the iron cabinet before abruptly standing up, his expression unusually grave, tinged with a sense of urgency. Mr. Chen, what you have described in relation to this item exceeds the bounds of normalcy. If everything is true, its significance is immeasurable. You must remain here patiently and absolutely refrain from contacting the outside world. I must report to my superiors immediately. Every minute is crucial. He grasped the notebook containing the astonishing details and data, nearly rushing out of the room, locking the door securely behind him. In the office of the director of the Special Investigations Department of the National Security Bureau, Li Guofeng sat behind an expansive desk, pinching a half-burned cigarette between his fingers. His brow furrowed as he reviewed a thick stack of documents. The digital clock on the wall indicated it was already 10:17 p.m., but for the head of the Special Investigations Department, working late into the night was a norm. He had dealt with countless bizarre cases, from deeply infiltrated spy networks to transnational crimes utilizing cutting-edge technology, and considered himself well-practiced in maintaining composure amidst chaos. However, when his assistant, Ran Shui, forgot to knock and barged in, he noticed a rare mix of confusion and urgency on her face. "Director, I've just received a special report from the grassroots level. It has been escalated to the highest security level." Ran Shui spoke rapidly, handing her tablet to Li Guofeng, claiming to have discovered a weapon from another world. Li Guofeng accepted the tablet, glancing at the report title, and instinctively rendered a conservative judgment. Which imaginative young person is playing pranks this time? Or seeking attention? Perhaps they have spent too much time online. He did not take it too seriously. Such absurd reports, though infrequent, occasionally surfaced. Yet, the details she described were exceptionally specific, and Ran Shui paused, seemingly organizing her words for accuracy, mentioning a crucial point: a door visible and controllable only by him, through which the weapon had been brought back. A door only he could see? Li Guofeng raised his head, his expression becoming more serious. Was it an illusion? A mental disorder? Or perhaps a gimmick of some new type of scam? He swiftly skimmed through the main body of the report. It revealed that approximately 40 minutes ago, a university student named Chen Ziang had called the confidential hotline, claiming to have accidentally obtained a peculiar firearm capable of emitting energy beams, suspecting it was not of earthly origin, and was willing to surrender the physical object. Energy weapon? Physical object? Li Guofeng pondered. It sounded akin to an exceptionally realistic sci-fi prop. However, his gaze lingered on the line, expressing willingness to provide a physical sample. If it were a prank or a mental issue, one would typically not propose handing over the physical item, as it would be too easily debunked. His years of professional instinct detected an unusual scent. Even if there were only a 1 in 10,000 chance of truth, one must not be careless. Notify the technical department to bring the most portable rapid detection equipment, particularly the elemental analysis and non-contact energy sensing devices. Li Guofeng extinguished the cigarette, but, rising with decisive and swift movements, "We will personally meet this Chen Ziang. You are coming with me." "Yes, Director," Ran Shui promptly responded, turning to make arrangements. Half an hour later, Li Guofeng and Ran Shui sat within the courtyard marked by the sign of the Municipal Electromechanical Equipment Maintenance Center. When Zhang Shuo retrieved the smoothly designed gun, imbued with an exotic sense of advanced technology from the cabinet, Li Guofeng's immediate reaction was still that it was an exceptionally well-crafted model or prop. Its material, craftsmanship, intricate interfaces, and embedded dim crystals all hinted at a quality surpassing that of ordinary toys. Yet, out of caution, he exchanged a glance with Ran Shui. Understanding. She produced a palm-sized device resembling a scanner from her silver metal case, aiming it at the gun in Zhang Shuo's hand from a distance. She pressed the activation button, and the device emitted a slight operational sound, illuminating a screen where various data began to scroll rapidly. Initially, Ran Shui maintained a calm demeanor, but mere seconds later, her brow began to furrow, her eyes revealing disbelief. When the detector emitted a sharp, abrupt beeping sound, locking onto an anomaly, the air within the room seemed to freeze instantly. "Director," Ran Shui's voice carried a hint of a tremor she herself was unaware of. She turned the screen toward Li Guofeng. "The density is abnormal, and a complex energy circuit structure has been detected within the material of the gun, not recorded in the known elemental database. Energy residue analysis shows characteristics of an unknown high-energy particle beam. This was indeed unlike any known weapon. Perhaps not even something current Earth technology could fabricate." Li Guofeng's expression became profoundly serious. He scrutinized Chen Ziang, whose face was slightly pale from tension. His gaze clear yet tinged with unease, fingers interlaced tightly, their whiteness betraying the pressure. This state of being could not be the result of a meticulously planned performance. It was genuine, a blend of fear and a flicker of hope. "Mr. Chen," Li Guofeng's voice softened slightly, but grew more solemn. "The door you mentioned that only you can see. Where is it now?" "It's right beside me, approximately." Here, Chen Ziang pointed to an empty space beside him. "It has no physical form, but I can feel it, and I can attempt to make it manifest." To validate his claim, Chen Ziang volunteered to demonstrate within the room. Li Guofeng and Ran Shui exchanged glances and nodded. They cautiously examined the area he indicated. Li Guofeng waved his hand through the air, feeling no anomalies. Ran Shui employed various precise detection instruments to conduct a comprehensive scan of that space: thermal imaging, electromagnetic spectrum, radiation levels, gravitational fluctuations. No abnormal readings, Director. Ran Shui reported, her tone laced with confusion. All parameters are within the normal range. Li Guofeng gazed at Chen Ziang, skepticism resurfacing in his eyes. Could it be that the crucial evidence was real, yet the so-called door was merely a figment of the target's imagination? Chapter 5. An occurrence transcending current scientific understanding was vividly unfolding before them. Just then, Chen Ziang took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and began to concentrate. As his focus intensified, an anomaly abruptly emerged in the part of the room under the keen observation of Li Guofeng and Ran Shui. The dust in the air began to move unnaturally, swirling, as a vague, oval outline slowly manifested out of thin air, its edges flickering with faint, pulsing blue arcs of light, as if breathing. As Chen Ziang continued to channel his mental energy, this luminous portal became increasingly distinct. The ethereal blue light flowing steadily in the darkness, its interior a profound void capable of engulfing all light. When this gate, composed entirely of energy and defying existing physical comprehension, stabilized before their eyes, even the well-versed Li Guofeng and the trained Ran Shui were left utterly astonished, their faces reflecting the shock of a shattered worldview. Almost simultaneously with the complete manifestation of the light gate, the previously unresponsive precision multispectral detector in Ran Shui's hand suddenly erupted into a series of rapid, urgent beeping alarms. A profound and formidable spatial fluctuation of an unknown nature has been detected. Ran Shui abruptly gazed at the readings, her voice elevated by an octave due to sheer astonishment. The energy characteristics defy classification. They do not conform to any known gravitational or electromagnetic wave patterns. The coordinates are stable, perfectly aligning with the location described by Mr. Chen. The spatial curvature data indicates the presence of a microscopic wormhole or a similar structure. Li Guofeng's expression transformed entirely. As a seasoned investigator, he had encountered numerous meticulously crafted deceptions and illusions that blurred the line with reality, yet the anomalous light gate before him, coupled with the irrefutable data from his instruments, screamed a singular truth. This is real. A phenomenon that transcends current scientific understanding is vividly unfolding before his eyes. Without hesitation, he swiftly approached the corner of the room, turning his back to the light gate, and retrieved a compact communication device from his pocket. Equipped with the highest level of encryption, his fingers trembled slightly, yet he managed to connect to the dedicated line of his superior, the director of the Special Investigation Bureau. Director, this is Li Guofeng. His voice was subdued, unable to conceal the astonishment and urgency. We have confirmed an unprecedented situation. The subject of our jurisdiction, university student Chen Ziang, claims to possess a door to another world. Initially, I assumed it was merely a prank, but the door is indeed real. I am currently witnessing a spatial gate of energy form. The instruments have confirmed intense, unknown spatial fluctuations. I repeat, the spatial gate exists. A prolonged silence of 5 to 6 seconds ensued on the other end, followed by the director's grave, even incredulous, response. Oldly, do you realize what you're saying? I understand this is hard to believe, but I have witnessed it with my own eyes. Director, I will send you the data from the scene. I am not one to speak frivolously. Another interval of silence followed. Hold off on sending the data for now. I need to verify once more. Are you jesting or serious? Serious. There is no benefit in lying to me. Very well. Secure the scene. Absolute confidentiality. I will immediately report to the department leadership and dispatch an elite team to escort experts for verification. This matter is to be classified as top secret for the time being. Until further instructions arrive, you and Ran Shui must not leave the target's vicinity, ensuring the absolute safety of both the subject and that door. Understood. Li Guofeng replied solemnly, concluding the call. He turned back to face Chen Ziang, his tone and expression having shifted entirely, now imbued with an unprecedented gravity. Comrade Chen Ziang, he addressed formally, acknowledging that this occurrence has vastly transcended our conventional understanding and safety boundaries. From this moment forth, you and everything you have discovered will receive the utmost protection. This area will be immediately secured, and we will arrange proper accommodations for you and your family. We require a more comprehensive and in-depth investigation and assessment of you, as well as that door. Chen Ziang gazed at the light gate, now receiving due attention from the state, observing the unmistakable astonishment on Li Guofeng and Ran Shui's faces. The tension that had gripped his heart began to ease, and he exhaled deeply. At least they believed him. This monumental secret was no longer his burden to bear alone. In the office of the director of the Special Investigation Bureau, Zhao Weiguo had just concluded his call with Li Guofeng. The lingering warmth from the receiver seemed to echo the astonishment and urgency in Li's tone. Seated in his expansive office chair, he tapped his fingers rhythmically against the mahogany desk, producing a somber sound. Li Guofeng was among his most prudent and reliable department heads, and the gravity of the situation warranted such a tone and the use of the highest encryption line. The nature of this matter must be complex. Unknown substances, a door visible only to the subject, instruments confirming spatial fluctuations. Zhao repeated the key information in a low voice. Years of professional experience had instilled in him an acute sense of caution, yet this time, his intuition suggested that Li Guofeng was not confronting a mere illusion or deception. He hesitated no longer, pressing a bright red button on the internal communicator to connect with the rapid response team of the Special Investigation Bureau's Dragon Group. "This is Zhao Weiguo." His voice was steady, imbued with an undeniable authority. "Initiate the Alpha 3 emergency response plan. The first assault team of the Dragon Group, equipped with the highest standard non-standard threat response gear, is to assemble within 15 minutes and proceed to the following coordinates." He relayed Chen Ziang's address, assigning the task of securing the scene, assisting Director Li Guofeng in confirming the anomaly, and assessing the threat level. Authorization to use necessary force to ensure the safety of the target and information isolation was granted. "The Dragon Group understands," came a cold, succinct voice from the communicator, devoid of any unnecessary questions. Following that, Zhao connected with the internal technical support center. "Qian, gather your team and the highest precision portable energy detection and material analysis equipment, and deploy alongside the Dragon Group. The scene may involve phenomena and objects that transcend conventional understanding. I require your most professional assessment." "Understood, Director." "We will prepare immediately," replied a seasoned technical expert, his voice tinged with confusion yet marked by unwavering resolve. 15 minutes later, 3 ostensibly ordinary black SUVs, heavily modified within, glided silently out of the National Security Ministry compound, merging into the flow of traffic in the capital, racing toward Chen Ziang's location. Chapter 6, Standby. Highest level of scene lockdown. In the front passenger seat of the middle vehicle sat Gao Yun, the captain of the Dragon Group's first assault team. Approximately 35 or 36 years of age, his visage was resolute, and his gaze steady as granite, exuding the polished demeanor of one seasoned in the crucible of combat. He was swiftly perusing the preliminary background information about Chen Ziang and his family, along with a brief situation report from Li Guofeng, on an encrypted tablet. "A doer? An energy pistol?" Gao silently mused, his brow furrowing. Even for the Dragon Group, accustomed to bizarre missions, such descriptions bordered on the fantastical. Yet, he trusted Li Guofeng's judgment and had faith in the director's resolution. His primary concern was the potential risks and the safety of the target. In the back seat, technical expert Qian and his 2 assistants were busily calibrating various portable devices, from high-sensitivity Geiger counters to multispectral energy field analyzers and portable elemental mass spectrometers. These instruments, typically reserved for the highest-level laboratories, were now compactly housed within specially designed cases. Upon arrival at the destination, the team drew no attention. Guided by Li Guofeng's subordinates, they swiftly and silently entered the corridor, arriving at the entrance of Chen Ziang's courtyard. "Captain Gao, Qian, you've arrived," Li Guofeng greeted them, his expression still grave, but visibly relieved upon seeing Gao Yun and Qian. "What is the situation?" Gao inquired succinctly. "The target, Chen Ziang, is in the room, that door. Only he can see and control it. However, Ran Shui and I witnessed its manifestation, and the instruments have confirmed anomalous spatial fluctuations. Additionally, there is this." Li Guofeng gestured for Ran Shui to hand over an item carefully encased in an evidence bag, the peculiar energy pistol. Gao Yun took the evidence bag, scrutinizing it through the transparent membrane. The cold metallic texture, the smooth lines imbued with an aesthetic of the unknown, and the dim crystal all challenged his understanding. He passed it to Qian behind him. "Qian, take a look." Qian, donning white gloves, carefully extracted the pistol, its weight palpable in his hands. He first examined it with the naked eye, then employed a high-powered magnifying glass to inspect the interfaces and patterns, growing increasingly astonished with each glance. "This craftsmanship," This material is beyond the reach of modern Earth technology to replicate. Chen Ziang murmured to himself, then activated the portable elemental analyzer, directing the probe towards the non-core areas of the firearm for a non-destructive scan. Minutes later, as he observed the complex spectrum on the screen that could not be matched with any known elemental database, his breathing quickened. The composition of unknown elements. The structural density is extraordinarily high. Inside, there appears to be a complex energy circuit structure, yet dormant. Gao Yun's gaze sharpened as he looked at Li Guofeng. Does he claim this is a weapon? Yes, he asserts it can emit energy beams. Has it been verified? No. We dare not attempt it rashly. After a moment of contemplation, Gao Yun instructed Li Guofeng, take us to meet the target. The group entered Chen Ziang's room. Chen Ziang was taken aback by the arrival of so many serious and well-equipped individuals. Without unnecessary preamble, Gao Yun produced the handgun and addressed Chen Ziang directly. Comrade Chen Ziang, you claim this is a weapon. Could you demonstrate its function for us? Chen Ziang hesitated as he looked at the gun. I have only used it once, and it seems the energy is nearly depleted. I am uncertain if it can still. No matter, Gao Yun's tone remained calm, imbued with a reassuring strength. You merely need to attempt it. To prove to us what it is, we need confirmation. Chen Ziang immediately added, we will ensure safety precautions. Please aim at the cleared area in that corner. He pointed to a section of the room being prepared as a safe zone. Taking a deep breath, Chen Ziang accepted the handgun. The icy sensation coursed through his palm as he struggled to recall that instinctual feeling from his previous desperate encounter, attempting to communicate and guide. He concentrated, his fingers exploring the gun, seeking that familiar sensing area. Silence enveloped the room, everyone holding their breath. Their attention riveted on Chen Ziang and the peculiar weapon in his grasp. Gao Yun's hand hung seemingly casually at his side, yet his muscles were taut, ready to respond to any eventuality. Chen Gong's gaze was fixed intently on the energy detector's screen. Just seconds later, as everyone braced for failure, the dim crystal on the gun suddenly flickered with a faint glimmer, and then a barely perceptible azure glow began to circulate within, as if it were breathing. Chen Ziang felt a slight pulling sensation and a warmth in his palm. A spark of inspiration surged through him as he aimed the gun at the safe corner and squeezed the invisible trigger. With a soft hiss, reminiscent of a hot iron plunged into water, a beam of energy, no thicker than a chopstick and slightly dim, shot forth from the muzzle, striking the corner wall in an instant. There was no deafening explosion, but the wall bore a gaping hole the size of a fist, its edges appearing molten and unfathomably deep. A faint odor of ozone and evaporating metal filled the air. Silence. A deathly quiet. Everyone stood in stunned disbelief at this incomprehensible scene. Even Gao Yun and Li Guofeng, who had prepared themselves mentally, found their pupils contracting in shock at witnessing this violation of physical law. This was unlike any weapon known. Laser? Particle beam? None of these seemed to fit. Chen Gong lunged towards the energy detector, watching the readings fluctuate wildly, indicating extraordinarily high energy levels and unknown energy characteristics. His voice trembled with excitement. Energy explosion. Confirmed energy release. Characteristics, unknown. The power far exceeds conventional individual weaponry. This is real. Gao Yun was the first to recover from the shock. He cast a deep glance at the slightly panting Chen Ziang, then at the horrifying molten hole in the wall, his expression turning sharply serious and focused. He requested Chen Ziang to demonstrate the space gate again, and without hesitation, he moved to the corner of the room. Retrieving a compact satellite communicator with top-level encryption and anti-jamming capabilities, directly connecting to Director Zhao Weiguo's secure line. Director, this is Gao Yun. His voice was low and serious, carrying an undeniable certainty. The on-site verification is complete. The conclusions are as follows. First, the space gate claimed by the target, Chen Ziang, exists, its nature unknown, controlled solely by him, with instruments confirming abnormal spatial fluctuations. Second, the firearm he possesses is confirmed to be a genuine energy weapon, its technological level far surpassing that of our nation and known international standards. With immense power. I repeat, confirmation of the existence of an energy weapon and abnormal spatial phenomena. On the other end of the communicator, there was a prolonged silence. Even the seasoned director Zhao Weiguo required time to digest this astounding revelation. Moments later, Zhao's voice came through, laden with unprecedented gravity. Understood. Stand by at the scene. Initiate the highest level of containment. I will report immediately to the department leadership and higher authorities. Chapter 7. Emergency Meeting in 30 Minutes. Minister of National Security. Zhang Mingyu's official vehicle glided smoothly along Chang'an Avenue, the vibrant nightscape of the capital outside the window. He had just concluded an informal dinner with an ambassador from another country, and, feeling somewhat fatigued, leaned back in his seat, rubbing his brow, preparing to take a brief respite during the drive back to the department. At that moment, the red encrypted communicator beside him, accessible only to a select few, emitted a low, persistent vibration. Glancing at the caller ID, he noted it was the director of the Special Investigation Bureau. Zhang Mingyu's brow furrowed slightly. A call at this hour typically indicated an urgent and tricky situation had arisen. He pressed the answer button. Minister, there is an urgent matter that requires immediate reporting. The level may surpass any events we have previously dealt with. The director's voice came through the encrypted line, carrying a tremor that Zhang Mingyu rarely heard from this typically composed subordinate, even hinting at disbelief. Zhang Mingyu straightened in his seat. What level of anomaly are we discussing? Be specific. The highest level, Minister. Preliminary assessments suggest it may involve spatial technology that transcends our current understanding of physical laws, or something even more unfathomable. Spatial technology? Zhang Mingyu frowned, requesting clarification. The director succinctly described Chen Ziang, the peculiar handgun, and the energy gate that Li Guofeng had witnessed and confirmed with instruments. As Zhang Mingyu's expression shifted from confusion to profound seriousness. Gao Yun, Chen Gong, and Li Guofeng confirmed this. They witnessed it firsthand. The instruments reacted as well. Zhang Mingyu pressed for details. Yes, Minister. They were all present. And they witnessed the energy gate. Our portable spatial fluctuation detector recorded intense, unknown pattern spatial distortion signals. Moreover, the weapon. Preliminary tests indicate its materials and energy characteristics do not belong to any known earthly category. Upon hearing this, Zhang Mingyu felt no hesitation. Gao Yun, Chen Gong, Li Guofeng, and Zhao Weiguo were all figures known for their composure and reliability, their judgments carrying immense credibility, coupled with the solid instrument data and the tangible extraterrestrial weapon. All of this pointed to a shocking possibility. In the face of such circumstances, it is better to err on the side of caution than to overlook anything. Immediately initiate the Class A emergency response plan. I will arrive at the department's command center in 20 minutes. Zhang Mingyu commanded, simultaneously instructing. Connect me to Vice Chairman Lu's secure line, now. At this moment, Lu Zhenghua was in his study at home, reading reports when the secure phone rang. He casually picked up the receiver, expecting it to be another urgent border incident requiring attention. Lao Zhang, what is it at this late hour? Lu Zhenghua's voice was steady and strong. Vice Chairman, an urgent situation has arisen that requires immediate reporting. Zhang Mingyu's tone conveyed gravity. We may have discovered a phenomenon that transcends all existing scientific knowledge and technological boundaries. It may involve a passage to another world, as well as extraterrestrial technological artifacts. A brief silence enveloped the other end of the line, as if the recipient were processing the astonishing information. Moments later, Lu Zhenghua's voice emerged. Tinged with caution, is the source of the information reliable? Has it been confirmed? Multiple experts from our department have verified the existence of the spatial portal and the anomaly of that weapon on site. These individuals are the most elite combat specialists within our system, and their judgments are trustworthy. Furthermore, there is explicit instrumental data to support our findings. I am proceeding to the underground command center of the Military Commission immediately. Lu Zhenghua wasted no time. 30 minutes later, an emergency meeting was convened. Notify President Sun Qiming of the Academy of Sciences and ensure that he brings along the core experts from the relevant fields. This matter is to remain strictly confined to a minimal circle. Understood. In the depths of the Military Commission building, the core command area was brightly lit. Yet it resonated with an eerie silence, broken only by the soft hum of operating instruments and the faint sounds of personnel moving about. After concluding his conversation with Minister Zhang Mingyu, Vice Chairman Lu Zhenghua was spared no time and immediately utilized a top-secret internal line to issue the highest-level directives to the central office and the meeting support department. Activate the Alpha-level emergency meeting protocol. The venue, conference room number 1, designated as top secret. I shall personally confirm and authorize the list of attendees shortly. The meeting demands absolute confidentiality, physical isolation, a complete ban on electronic devices, and the implementation of the highest-level anti-eavesdropping measures. The meeting materials involve objects and imagery of the utmost secrecy, necessitating special security for transport and on-site verification procedures. After Li Guofeng and Gao Yun reported to their respective superiors, confirming the authenticity of the spatial portal and the energy pistol, Li Guofeng turned to the anxious young man waiting nearby. With a tone as gentle as possible, yet imbued with undeniable resolve, he stated, "Comrade Chen Ziang, this place is no longer safe, nor does it provide the conditions necessary for an in-depth study of the phenomena and items you have discovered. We must urgently relocate you to a more secure and specialized location. Your family will be properly taken care of to ensure they remain undisturbed and free from risk. Please cooperate with our actions." Chen Ziang glanced at the solemn, efficient individuals in the room, then at the door, which only he could perceive, still faintly present in his consciousness. He understood he had no way back and no need for one. Taking a deep breath, he nodded firmly. "I understand. I will go with you." Gao Yun immediately began to devise the relocation plan, his voice low yet clear. Akin to orchestrating a special operation, the first assault team of the Dragon Unit would be fully responsible for security and escort during the transfer, with Gao Yun personally leading the team. 3 specially modified, inconspicuous cargo vans would be deployed. The central vehicle would serve as the main transportation unit, reinforced internally and equipped with life support and basic ballistic protection features, designated for transporting Chen Ziang and the special pistol, along with metal fragments. The 2 escort vehicles would carry Dragon Unit members. The Central Guard Bureau's Traffic Command Center would dynamically plan the optimal and most discreet route, adjusting in real time to avoid sensitive areas and potential congested sections. Plainclothes sentries would be stationed along the route to ensure smooth passage. For Chen Ziang's parents, another experienced field team under Li Guofeng was tasked with the engagement, swiftly and peacefully inviting them into an ostensibly ordinary business vehicle under the pretext of emergency gas pipeline repairs requiring temporary evacuation, transporting them to a pre-prepared, comfortable, and secure safe house. The entire process was efficient and professional, drawing no attention from neighbors. Led by Engineer Qian, a technical team conducted a thorough scan and cleanup of Chen Ziang's original room using specialized equipment, ensuring no traces of spatial portal energy residue or minute particles from the energy pistol remained. The small hole melted through the wall by the energy beam was cleverly disguised and treated, under the close protection of 2 Dragon Unit members flanking him. Chen Ziang took one last glance at the outside world, then lowered his head and hastened his steps, merging into the dim light of the corridor. Chapter 8. This is definitely not something from Earth. Downstairs, the 3 cargo vans had already started, their engines emitting a low rumble. Chen Ziang was escorted into the central vehicle's cargo area. The compartment, devoid of windows, was softly illuminated and furnished with 2 relatively comfortable seats and a specially designed safe for securing evidence. Gao Yun was seated across from him, his gaze vigilant and steady. The energy pistol and metal fragments were personally placed into the safe by Engineer Qian, locked securely, with the key entrusted to Gao Yun. The convoy silently departed the neighborhood, merging into the flow of late-night traffic. The atmosphere within the cargo area was unusually quiet, punctuated only by the subtle sound of the air conditioning system. Chen Ziang could sense the vehicle in motion, occasionally turning and accelerating, yet he remained unaware of their destination. Gao Yun closed his eyes to rest, but Chen Ziang felt the captain's attention unwaveringly focused on him and the safe. Occasional coded reports about road conditions emanated from the communicators in the escort vehicles, everything appearing orderly yet undeniably forceful. After a short while, Chen Ziang sensed the vehicle beginning a noticeable descent. Following several brief stops, it finally came to a complete halt. The cargo door opened from the outside, revealing not the cityscape but a bright, expansive underground passage imbued with a futuristic ambience. Personnel in various uniforms awaited them, their expressions grave. The air was thick with a distinctive blend of metal, ozone, and cleaning agents. Guided by Gao Yun and the base reception staff, Chen Ziang alighted from the vehicle. He glanced back to see the safe being carefully lifted by several internal security guards and placed onto a small electric transport vehicle. He was led directly into a spacious, immaculate room devoid of windows, resembling a luxurious living area and observation room, replete with all necessary amenities but under strict access control. In the core handover area of the base, Gao Yun engaged in a meticulous evidence transfer procedure with the base commander and the already awaiting academician Sun Qiming. The safe was opened, and under multiple surveillance, the energy pistol and metal fragments were re-evaluated by Engineer Qian before being received by the base's research personnel, destined for the highest-level laboratory deeper within. Simultaneously, Chen Ziang's changed clothing and personal effects were sealed for inspection. Meanwhile, in another section of the Zero Special Zone base, Li Guofeng and Ran Shui, under the protection of the Dragon Unit team, were racing against time to compile the preliminary report. Li Guofeng dictated while Ran Shui rapidly entered the information on a secure computer, disconnected from any networks. The content covered the entire process from receiving the hotline report to on-site verification, emphasizing Chen Ziang's state, the manifest characteristics of the spatial portal, and the instrumental data, as well as the field test results of the energy pistol, including Engineer Qian's initial findings and Captain Gao Yun's conclusions. Key segments from the body camera footage, edited for clarity, were extracted separately, including the moment Chen Ziang concentrated to manifest the light portal, the energy detector capturing spatial fluctuation data, and the critical instance of Chen Ziang firing the energy pistol, resulting in a molten hole in the wall. These videos were copied onto a specialized, read-only encrypted solid-state storage device. All original data recorded by portable devices, including spatial fluctuation data, energy burst frequency spectra, and preliminary elemental analysis results, were printed in hard copy and backed up alongside the electronic data. Concurrently, the crucial energy pistol was undergoing an exceedingly secure journey. At the temporary handling point of the Zero Special Zone base, Engineer Qian personally operated the placement of the energy pistol into a specially designed, non-metallic container lined with soft, energy-absorbing material capable of shielding various signals. Once sealed, the container was affixed with multiple seals bearing unique codes and anti-tampering marks. Gao Yun personally designated 2 of his most capable team members to join Engineer Qian, forming the first escort unit. They departed the base in an armored transport vehicle specially modified to withstand bullets, explosions, and electromagnetic pulses. The route was meticulously planned and dynamically adjusted in real time by the Central Guard Bureau, ensuring absolute safety and secrecy. The transport vehicle did not head directly to the meeting location. Instead, it followed a predetermined plan to arrive at a secure underground transfer hub. There, the Special Operations team from the Central Guard Bureau awaited their arrival. Under strict surveillance, identities were verified, seals were checked for integrity, and handover procedures were carried out. The energy pistol, along with its container, was transferred into a specialized transport case designated for the Guard Bureau. The final leg of the journey was secured by vehicles from the Central Guard Bureau, leading directly into the underground passage of the Military Commission building, where they underwent layers of identity verification and security checks before finally arriving at the anteroom outside the top-secret conference room number 1, at precisely midnight. Within a secret meeting room in the underground command center of the Military Commission, equipped with the most advanced soundproofing and electromagnetic leakage prevention technology, the atmosphere was so tense it felt as if it could be cut with a knife. Only 5 individuals were present: Vice Chairman Liu Jinghua, Minister Zhang Mingyu, Academician Sun Qiming, the President of the Academy of Sciences, and 2 heads from the core think tank and the General Equipment Department. In front of each person lay a freshly printed, heavily inked top-secret briefing. Their gazes were first drawn to a weapon unlike any other known, positioned at the center of the conference table, before settling on the succinct yet weighty report before them. Without unnecessary pleasantries, Vice Chairman Liu surveyed the room and gravely stated, "Comrades, time is of the essence, so I shall dispense with formalities. Please review the preliminary report before us, after which we will view a segment of the live footage and closely examine this object from an unknown domain," he signaled, and the staff promptly began the video playback. As the footage progressed, particularly when the ethereal blue portal appeared on the screen and the blue-white energy beam pierced through the wall, a collective intake of breath filled the room. Even these seasoned leaders and elite scientists, accustomed to high-stakes decisions affecting national destiny, displayed unprecedented shock and disbelief on their faces. Once the video concluded, a profound silence enveloped the room as each individual processed this revolutionary information. Vice Chairman Liu broke the stillness, asking, "Old Sun, what are your thoughts?" Academician Sun Qiming, unable to contain his excitement, replied, I wish to examine this handgun up close. Certainly, everyone is welcome to take a look, Liu responded. The uniquely designed energy pistol rested within a specially crafted transparent sealed container. Under the cold white light, its streamlined body glimmered with a chilling metallic sheen, and the embedded crystal exuded an ominous aura, even in its dormant state. Approaching the container, Academician Sun leaned in, scrutinizing its appearance. It was indeed extraordinary. After donning sterile gloves and receiving permission, he carefully opened the container and retrieved the energy pistol. He refrained from hastily pulling any potential triggers, instead opting to conduct a non-destructive scan with his high-precision portable detector. As a series of anomalous data appeared on the screen, the seasoned researcher experienced a sudden fluctuation in his breath, density, complexity of internal energy circuits, elemental material spectrum analysis unknown. Sun's voice trembled with disbelief. The structure of the gun is entirely integrated, showing no signs of seams, as if it were printed at the molecular level. And this energy core. He pointed to the dim crystal, its residual energy readings. The particle activity and energy levels far exceed what we can achieve in our labs. Old Liu. Old Zhang. This is undoubtedly not of Earth. Chapter 9. The key to two worlds. It is not just this pistol, Zhang Mingyu interjected, manipulating the controller before him, causing a large screen on one side of the conference room to display a processed video. It was a brief segment recorded by Li Guofeng using encrypted devices, showing Chen Ziang manifesting the portal within the room. Although the footage was somewhat blurred and distorted due to energy interference, the ethereal blue, rotating energy portal remained clearly visible. According to the on-site report, there was another door only the young man Chen Ziang could see and control, linking to the origin of the gun. Our instruments have confirmed anomalous spatial fluctuations, precisely aligning with Chen Ziang's descriptions. Silence fell over the room once more, with only the slightly labored breaths of the attendees breaking the stillness. Each individual grappled with the implications of this information, capable of rewriting human history and overturning existing scientific paradigms. Another world? A spatial corridor? Extraterrestrial technology? Concepts that had previously existed solely in theoretical discussions and science fiction now presented themselves in such an immediate and irrefutable manner. Where is that young man, Chen Ziang, now? What is his condition? Liu Jingguo was the first to shatter the silence, his question piercing the core of the matter. He is currently under our absolute protection, escorted by an elite team from the Dragon Group, and has been relocated to the Zero Special Zone's top-secret base. The site and his residence have been completely sealed off. The perimeter is secured by the national security and armed police forces. With the inner layer managed by the Dragon Group, his family has been temporarily relocated to a safe house under the pretext of emergency repairs on the gas pipeline, with dedicated personnel accompanying them to ensure information isolation. Zhang Mingyu reported clearly. Sun Academician, undistracted by Zhang's words, was wholly immersed in the pursuit of scientific exploration. Rising, he leaned on the table, his eyes sparkling with the fervent passion characteristic of a scientist. We must immediately establish a top-tier special research group. This is an unparalleled opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime chance. A whole new world, a completely new technological system. If that portal indeed provides stable access to another planet, the resources, knowledge, and technology there could be the key to our nation and even all of human civilization achieving a leap forward. But if that is indeed another world, the think tank head adjusted his glasses, speaking cautiously. The potential risks must also undergo the highest level of assessment. The unknown microbial environment, possible air toxins, radioactive hazards, or aggressive life forms akin to what Chen Ziang encountered, or even more advanced, hostile intelligent beings. Reckless contact could lead to catastrophic consequences. Therefore, we must implement the highest level of protection and a gradual exploration strategy. Liu Jingguo seized the floor, his gaze sharp. I propose we immediately establish a project command center with an authorization level of A1. Minister Zhang will oversee overall safety, confidentiality, and external intelligence shielding. Academician Sun will lead the organization of scientific research and technological assessment. The General Equipment Department and the think tank will provide strategic evaluations and resource allocation support. I need to report directly to the highest leadership. No objections were raised. The meeting concluded before 2 a.m. and a series of significant orders were rapidly transmitted to various key departments via encrypted waves. At 6 a.m., The medical center of the Zero Special Zone base was bustling with activity. An unprecedented, comprehensive, deep examination of Chen Ziang was underway. This was not an ordinary health check. It mobilized the nation's top medical testing equipment and analytical experts, aiming to thoroughly understand the physiological state of this key holder. Chen Ziang cooperatively lay within a state-of-the-art composite detection device integrating multiple functionalities such as MRI, CT, and PET, connected to over 100 different types of sensors that monitored every subtle change from his macro physique to micro cells in real time. The head of the medical expert group, a renowned academician in physiology and anatomy, Su Shitzi, personally supervised the proceedings. The fundamental vital signs remained stable. With a heart rate of 58 beats per minute and a blood pressure of 110/75 millimeters of mercury, all appears normal. However, the data on blood oxygen saturation. Suddenly, a doctor responsible for monitoring the data halted, scrutinizing the screen with keen attention, revealing a staggering 99.9%. This nearly surpasses theoretical limits. The results of the cellular activity index monitoring have emerged, exceeding the average value for healthy males of the same age by 320%. The basal metabolic rate stands at 285% of the baseline. Another expert reported this astonishing finding. Observing from outside the window, academician Sun and Minister Zhang stood side by side, their expressions focused and grave. With each piece of testing data released, the anomalies within Chen Ziang's body were continuously unveiled. Minister Zhang, Director Sun, please look at the comparative functional imaging of the brain here. Chief Medical Officer Su Shitzi pointed to the two images displayed side by side on the screen, one depicting Chen Ziang, the other a standard model. The neural electrical activity in his frontal cortex, parietal lobe, and thalamic regions is abnormally heightened, particularly in areas associated with spatial perception, abstract thinking, and conscious focus. Furthermore, we have observed some entirely new, atypical patterns of synaptic connections forming and strengthening. What does this imply? Minister Zhang inquired, his brow furrowed. It suggests that the structure and function of his brain may be undergoing a form of adaptive remodeling or optimization due to the ongoing connection with the gate. Su Shitzi carefully chose his words, stating that these new connections might indeed be the physiological basis for his ability to perceive and control that spatial portal. This is not a pathological condition. Rather, it resembles a fine-tuning from an evolutionary perspective. At that moment, the highly sensitive environmental energy monitoring device, positioned in the corner of the testing room, suddenly emitted an extremely faint yet persistent beeping sound. Physicist Chen Yubai immediately checked the readings, his face displaying disbelief. It detected that the subject was consistently releasing an extraordinarily weak energy field. The fluctuation characteristics bear a striking resemblance to the residual signals of the energy core from the light gate and energy pistol. He seems to be unconsciously and passively absorbing and circulating some unknown energy particles from the environment. This discovery left all present scientists in awe. This indicates that Chen Ziang is not merely a key. He himself may be evolving into an interface or conductor for the energy interactions between two worlds governed by different physical laws. All data was transmitted in real time to the command center's data processing facility, where a larger team of experts conducted a joint analysis. When Chen Ziang's extraordinary physiological report was displayed on the big screen, even those seasoned consultants who had witnessed countless classified technologies fell into a momentary silence. This transcended the realms of traditional medicine and biology. A venerable scientist slowly spoke, his tone filled with wonder, remarking that this is a living, cross-dimensional interaction case occurring within a human individual. Studying him is tantamount to exploring the potential for the fusion of the governing rules of two worlds. Chapter 10. Who exactly is this young man named Chen Ziang? Deep within the underground command center of the Military Commission, brightly lit and bustling with activity, General Wang Jianjun, the army commander, stood before a vast electronic sand table. However, at this moment, his focus was not on the terrain depicted on the sand table, but rather on a document just delivered by his confidential secretary, emblazoned with the bold red characters and a top-secret seal. He repeatedly scrutinized the key passages of the report, his brow furrowing in concentration. The nature of the spatial gate is stable. The only confirmed bound individual is Chen Ziang. The individual possesses the ability to actively open, close, and maintain a certain degree of control over the stability of the passage. The area beyond the gate is preliminarily determined to be a resource-rich but biologically hazardous abandoned world, with recovered items including unknown alloy fragments and an energy pistol with high-energy weapon characteristics. A mobile spatial gate bound to an individual? Behind the gate lies a world of resources? Wang Jianjun murmured to himself, his voice echoing through the still command center. If any hostile force were to discover this first, or if anything were to happen to this young man, he dared not ponder further. The strategic value and potential risks involved were monumental enough to upend the existing global order. He abruptly turned around and issued orders to the waiting chief of staff beside him, his voice resolute. Immediately notify Dragon Team. I want all members of the elite Yinhuang squad, equipped with the highest specifications in personal protection and reconnaissance gear, to assemble within 3 hours at 0 Special Zone and report to the Zhu Long Command for direct orders. Their foremost and singular task is to ensure the absolute safety of the target, Chen Ziang, with priority above all else. Simultaneously, have me connect with the Special Operations Command. I need Lejean to meet with me immediately. Yes, Commander. The Chief of Staff did not hesitate, promptly turning to relay the orders. The entire command center became increasingly busy due to these directives, with indicators of encrypted communication lines flashing frequently. Meanwhile, dozens of kilometers away, within the Special Operations Command, Colonel Lejean, still bearing the remnants of oil paint and sweat from a recent high-intensity nighttime infiltration exercise, had not yet had the chance to remove his heavy combat uniform when he was directly summoned to the commander's office by the aide. The commander offered no pleasantries, immediately handing him a thin yet weighty document, his expression one of unprecedented seriousness. There is a mission, codenamed Zhu Long, of the highest level. You are required to lead the team personally. The selection of members is up to you, but they must be absolutely reliable. Lejean quickly skimmed the document, and despite having weathered countless storms, a glimmer of shock crossed his gaze. Protecting a university student? Commander, what level of importance does this target hold? He instinctively probed. Having executed protection missions before, but this scale of mobilization, personally entrusted by the commander, was indeed rare. Of the highest level. Lejean, remember this, the commander leaned forward, his gaze intense, articulating each word carefully. The safety of the target may be tied to the fate of the nation. If necessary, the entire team, including yourself, may need to be sacrificed, but you must ensure the target's survival. Do you understand? The notion of sacrificing the entire team sent a profound shock through Lejean. Yet the soldier's duty quelled all his questions in an instant. He snapped to attention, offering a crisp military salute, his voice resolute. Understood. I will ensure the mission is accomplished. He accepted the classified document, pivoted, and strode out, his mind already racing to compile a roster of the most suitable candidates for this mission. Simultaneously, a colossal question lingered in his mind. Who, exactly, is this young man named Chen Ziang? Meanwhile, within another core research institution of the nation, the Academy of Sciences, a similar urgent mobilization was quietly unfolding. The eminent figure in domestic materials science, academician Wang Jianguo, was abruptly roused from slumber by a series of urgent phone rings. On the other end was the director of his research institute, whose tone was anxious yet vague, merely emphasizing that an emergency task of the highest level required his immediate preparation, with a special vehicle waiting downstairs for him, the destination undisclosed. Filled with confusion and a hint of dissatisfaction, academician Wang donned his coat, grabbed his briefcase, and entered the black sedan bearing special plates. Inside, aside from the driver, there was a stoic companion, and the journey remained silent. When the vehicle entered an underground tunnel unknown to him, passing through layers of identity verification and security checks, ultimately stopping at a vast, futuristic underground base known as 0 Special Zone, any lingering discontent in his heart was swiftly replaced by astonishment. In a brightly lit laboratory filled with advanced testing instruments, he beheld the metallic fragments brought back by Chen Ziang, along with the preliminary report on the energy pistol. As he personally operated the equipment and confirmed the astonishing density of the metallic fragment, its entirely unknown elemental composition, and the seemingly naturally occurring composite structure within, all remnants of drowsiness and complaints evaporated, replaced by an ecstatic focus akin to discovering a new continent. This utterly contravened existing material science understanding. Academician Wang, donned in white gloves, gingerly cradled the cold metallic shard as if it were a peerless treasure. It was neither smelting nor forging. It resembled a fusion of biological mineralization and advanced industrial manufacturing. If we could unravel its mysteries, we could at least save 50 years of misdirection in the field of materials. No, 100 years. Upon learning about the peculiar energy pistol beside him, which could emit an extraordinarily concentrated beam of particles with an outrageous energy conversion efficiency, he was filled with disbelief. Energy weapons. Miniaturized, high-efficiency energy weapons. This is the dream direction for our next generation of individual soldier equipment. Quickly, arrange for an energy laboratory. I must analyze its core structure and excitation principles. Top experts from various related fields, biology, geology, atmospheric physics, space theory, were urgently summoned home from their residences, laboratories, and even business trips at this early hour. Converging through highly confidential channels to this underground Zone Zero, the entire base began to operate at full speed, as if suddenly injected with a powerful current. In the command center of the base's core area, Li Guofeng was briefing Minister Zhang Mingyu and academician Sun Qiming on the latest developments. A massive electronic screen displayed the structural diagram of Chen Ziang's room, the location of the light gate, and various preliminary collected data on spatial fluctuations. Comrade Chen Ziang was currently stable and highly cooperative. After initial communication and psychological assessment, he exhibited clear consciousness and normal logic, ruling out the possibility of mental illness or pranks. Li Guofeng pointed to the data on the screen and said, "We have initially grasped some basic characteristics of the gate. It indeed follows Chen Ziang's movements. Only he can perceive and control its visibility and stability." Additionally, according to his description, after each activation and maintaining the stability of the passage for a period, the gate's traversal function temporarily shuts down and requires a cooling period before it can be used again. He currently sees the cooling time as 176 hours and 45 minutes. Cooling time? Zhang Mingyu pondered. This implies it is not infinitely usable and comes with certain rules and limitations. Chapter 11. It is akin to having obtained a higher civilization's workbook out of thin air. Academician Sun's eyes sparkled with insight as he interjected, "In a sense, this is actually good news, Minister Zhang. It indicates that this gate is not an entirely uncontrollable natural phenomenon. It adheres to some physical laws we have yet to fully comprehend. If there are rules, there exists the potential for research and utilization, providing us a foundation to formulate exploration plans." Zhang Mingyu nodded, shifting his focus to security. "What are the preliminary detection results of the samples? Have any biological pathogens, radiation, or other direct threats been discovered?" Li Guofeng responded. "The metallic fragment and energy pistol brought back by Comrade Chen Ziang, along with the dust on his clothing, have undergone the strictest isolation testing. Currently, biological testing has not revealed any known or unknown active pathogens. Radiation levels are within the normal cosmic background fluctuation range, with no harmful radiation residues detected." However, he shifted his tone, growing serious. "Based on Comrade Chen Ziang's experience, that world indeed harbors highly aggressive unknown organisms he described as a swarm. Their danger is undeniable, though we have yet to make direct contact. Thus, the potential risk remains exceedingly high." At that moment, the encrypted communication light leading to the internal laboratory illuminated, and an incredible voice came through the speaker. "Academician Wang Zhengwo, Minister Zhang, President Sun, major discovery concerning that energy pistol. Please speak, Academician Wang." Zhang Mingyu immediately responded. "We have just conducted a low-power excitation test in an absolutely secure isolation environment." Academician Wang's voice trembled with excitement. "The results are astonishing. Firstly, the energy core, which we have temporarily named the ethereal energy crystal, has an energy density preliminarily estimated to be hundreds of times greater than our latest high-energy batteries. This is merely the residual energy reading." The command center fell silent as everyone held their breath. Secondly, and more crucially, Academician Wang continued, "Its energy excitation and focusing system employs principles we cannot fully comprehend. There are no complex electromagnetic coils, no traditional particle acceleration structures, but rather a method akin to energy patterns or field guidance, directly channeling, compressing, and emitting the core energy. The energy loss rate is astonishingly low. This presents us with at least 3 entirely new, groundbreaking technological pathways for miniaturization and practical application of high-energy laser weapons and particle beam weapons. He paused and concluded, conservatively estimating, merely the preliminary analysis of the energy storage and conversion technologies involved in this weapon could save our related fields over 20 years of research and development time, potentially leading us down an entirely different, more efficient technological route. And this is merely a seemingly individual weapon. This news struck the command center like a shockwave. A weapon from another world. Its technological value was indeed monumental. This was just a preliminary analysis. Deeper principles of materials science and energy had yet to be fully explored. Zhang Mingyu took a deep breath, exchanging a glance with academician Sun, each reflecting shock and determination in the other's eyes. The value of this weapon undoubtedly intensified the urgency and significance of the Zhulong project. Immediately compile the analysis results into the highest-level confidential briefing. Zhang Mingyu instructed academician Wang, then turned to Li Guofeng and the base commander, elevate the security level of Zone 0 to the highest combat readiness status. All researchers involved in the project must sign the highest confidentiality agreements. Once the Dragon team arrives, deploy immediate 24-hour close protection for Comrade Chen Ziang. He approached the encrypted communication console. Speaking firmly, connect me to Vice Chairman Lu's dedicated line. I need to report via video at once. The Zhulong project must receive the quickest and most substantial resource allocation possible. The command was quickly executed. The entire Zone 0 transformed into a steel behemoth awakened, entering its most efficient operational state. Armed security personnel doubled their patrol density. Researchers tirelessly delved into a more profound analysis of the two otherworldly items. The logistics support system operated at full capacity to ensure all base needs were met. Meanwhile, in a comfortable and secure lounge prepared for him, Chen Ziang remained blissfully unaware. He had just completed a series of detailed physical examinations and inquiries, lying on a soft bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing with thoughts. He was oblivious to the monumental waves his hastily picked-up weapon had created at the highest levels of this nation's technology. At that moment, the command center of Zone 0 resembled the core of a precisely functioning war machine. The vast circular electronic screen was segmented into dozens of surveillance feeds. From real-time images of Chen Ziang's lounge to monitoring at the critical entrances and exits of the base, to the busy figures of researchers in the laboratory. And most importantly, the continuous scanning data stream from the energy fluctuation monitoring device concerning the potential location of the light gate in Chen Ziang's lounge. Zhang Mingyu was reporting to the higher-ups, stating that the target, Chen Ziang, was stable and highly cooperative. We have preliminarily confirmed the authenticity of the energy pistol it carries and its source, the spatial gate. Concerning the pistol, experts from the Academy of Sciences are conducting urgent analyses. And the initial feedback is astonishing. He gestured slightly, and academician Sun Qiming immediately took over the conversation, his tone resonating with excitement. Vice Chairman, I am Sun Qiming. We have just completed a non-destructive preliminary analysis of that energy pistol. The results far exceed our expectations. The technology contained within its energy core, particularly the unknown principles of high-efficiency energy storage and directional release, offers at least 3 revolutionary and feasible technological pathways for our current bottleneck projects in miniaturizing high-energy laser and particle beam weapons. Experts from the weapons industry group have initially assessed that, if we can fully comprehend this, it may enable us to catch up to and even surpass potential adversaries who have led us by a decade in the field of directed energy weapons. Vice Chairman Lu's gaze was sharp as an eagle. Are you certain? It's not a counterfeit or a conceptual model. Absolutely certain. Academician Sun affirmed. Its materials and energy operational modes completely transcend our existing technological framework. It's as if we've been handed a homework assignment from a more advanced civilization, filled with formulas we have yet to learn. Academician Wang Zhengwo's team is tackling the materials of the pistol, which is also an unknown alloy with exceptionally superior properties. Zhang Mingyu added, simultaneously, based on Comrade Chen Ziang's statements and confirmations from relevant personnel on site. That gate connects to a world whose resource status is unknown, but confirmed to harbor highly dangerous and aggressive biological entities. Chen Ziang is the only known individual capable of stably opening and controlling this channel. Its strategic value and potential risks have reached the highest level. At that moment, the heavy alloy doors of the command center slid open, accompanied by the sound of powerful footsteps. General Yang Weiguo, commander of the Special Operations Command, personally led the team. flanked by the stern-faced, sharp-eyed Colonel Lei Zhan, along with a 12-member, fully armed Special Forces team. Clad in matte black combat uniforms and equipped with the nation's most advanced individual systems. The fierce golden dragon emblem on their arm patches signified that they were the elite Yinhuang team from the legendary Dragon Group. Commander Yang, what brings you here in person? Zhang Mingyu stepped forward to shake hands with Yang Weiguo. Old Zhang, with such a significant matter at hand, could I simply wait for news in my office? Yang Weiguo's voice boomed, imbued with a soldier's characteristic boldness. Vice Chairman Liu personally called, ordering me to ensure the utmost security of the Zhulong project. I have brought the sharpest knife from my home. He patted Colonel Lei Zhan on the shoulder. Lei Zhan stepped forward, standing at attention, and saluted Zhang Mingyu and Vice Chairman Liu on the video call with a crisp salute, his voice ringing like steel. Report, Minister. Report, Vice Chairman. The Dragon Group First Assault Team is here to report for duty. Please give your instructions. Zhang Mingyu returned the salute, his gaze sweeping over the formidable team, and spoke solemnly. Your mission is singular. Ensure the absolute safety of Comrade Chen Ziang. He is the key to unlocking this entire situation, and his importance pertains to the future of our nation. His safety surpasses the life of each one of you. Do you understand? Understood. Lei Zhan and his team echoed in unison, their voices resonating within the command center, vowing to fulfill their mission at all costs. Yang Weiguo approached the monitoring screen, observing the image of Chen Ziang being gently questioned, raising an eyebrow slightly. This is the young man? He looks like an ordinary student. Indeed, it is him. Academician's son confirmed, and based on the weapons he brought back and his descriptions of encounters with otherworldly beings, he is not just a discoverer, but also a survivor in extreme danger. His psychological resilience and adaptability are commendable. This statement elicited a flicker of surprise in the eyes of all the military personnel present, including Yang Weiguo and Lei Zhan. They understood better than anyone the courage and fortune required to engage with terrifying foes in a completely unknown and isolated environment and emerge unscathed. As the Zero Zone base operated like a finely tuned war machine, with various departments coordinating, experts mobilizing, equipment preparing, and strategic discussions fervently underway, the central focus, Chen Ziang, found his life in a relatively static state. He was placed in a special suite numbered A01 within the base's living quarters. Rather than merely a room, it resembled a fully functional small ecological pod. The living room was spacious and bright, with lights simulating natural sunlight adjusted according to Earth's day-night rhythm. The bedroom was comfortable and tranquil, accompanied by a small relaxation area equipped with basic fitness equipment and meditation devices. All living necessities were of the highest quality, yet bore no trademarks or personalized touches, exuding a standardized, somewhat cold perfection. Outside the corridor, Dragon Group members stood guard 24 hours a day, their gazes sharp and their demeanor silent as mountains. His daily routine was meticulously and systematically arranged. After waking and freshening up, a staff member, smiling yet cautious in speech, would deliver breakfast, carefully tailored by the base's nutritionist according to his latest physical data and energy metabolism. Mornings were typically allocated for research and testing collaboration. He would be escorted to the base's medical center or designated testing rooms for a series of comprehensive physical examinations, blood draws, scans, neurological response tests, energy field sensitivity measurements. The projects were numerous and repetitive. This process was tedious, yet Chen Ziang displayed tremendous patience and cooperation, fully aware of its significance. After lunch, he enjoyed a brief rest period, permitted to browse a selection of curated books in the small library within the living area, primarily encompassing natural sciences, history, and psychology, or to watch soothing documentaries. There was no internet, no personal communication devices. He was entirely isolated from the outside world. The afternoon schedule was more varied. Sometimes it involved continued research collaboration, while other times it entailed discussions with experts assigned by the bridge team. These conversations were not interrogations. Rather, they resembled guided discussions and psychological assessments. Experts would meticulously inquire about every detail of his initial experiences during the traversal, striving to comprehend his mental state while controlling the spatial gate, and even explore his vague perceptions of that world. Simultaneously, they patiently explained the preparations being undertaken by the nation, soothing his emotions and subtly reinforcing his sense of responsibility and mission. After dinner, he had an hour of free time, typically spent in the gym within the living quarters. There, he occasionally encountered Lei Zhan or other Dragon Group members, also maintaining their physical training. They would exchange simple nods of acknowledgement. Though communication was limited, Lei Zhan sometimes imparted basic combat techniques and fitness training methods, advising him. Having a strong physique provides an extra layer of assurance in any circumstance. Nights were relatively quiet, reserved for personal reflection. Chen Ziang often found himself alone on the sofa or standing before a simulated window, displaying calming natural scenery, lost in thought. He would reminisce about his ordinary past life while contemplating the uncertain fate that lay ahead. The door suspended in his consciousness was not only a passage to infinite possibilities, but also felt like a colossal tether, uncertain of where it would lead his destiny. He felt a sense of pressure, a smallness engulfed by the torrents of the era. The highest echelons of the base's management, Minister Zhang Mingyu and Academician Sun, would periodically visit, inquiring gently about his living conditions and mental state, repeatedly emphasizing his significance and the nation's gratitude and protection towards him. Meanwhile, deep within the base, in a laboratory zone fortified by layers of defense, expert teams from top research institutes and enterprises across the nation operated in high speed, synchronized motion like the gears of a precision instrument. In the materials laboratory, academician Wang Jiangwo's eyes were bloodshot. Yet he exhibited an invigorated spirit as he conversed via encrypted lines with the director of a prominent national materials laboratory located thousands of miles away. Yes, the data has been transmitted. Oldly, did you see it? This structure, this elemental ratio, it is nearly perfect. Strength, toughness, resilience to extreme environments. Particularly its superconductive properties concerning that unknown energy. I dare say, if we can replicate this material, we may find breakthroughs for issues concerning the engine blades of our 6th-generation fighter jets and the thermal barrier problems of hypersonic vehicles. Immediately organize personnel for reverse engineering simulations. Yes, highest priority. Next door, in the biological laboratory. Trace dust and potential biological remnants extracted from Chen Ziang's clothing and energy gun were placed under an ultra-high magnification electron microscope. Unknown organic compounds were discovered, with genetic structures entirely different from Earth's DNA-RNA system. This was xenonucleic acid, XNA. The chief biologist's voice trembled with disbelief. And even more astonishing was the preliminary observation of energy response sites within the XNA sequence resembling those of the energy core of the energy gun. This might suggest that the life forms in that world could have a deeper interaction with their energetic environment. An academician from the energy sector interjected, If we can comprehend this interaction mechanism, or even simulate it, it could fundamentally alter our definitions of life and energy. This is not merely a biological revolution, but the dawn of an energy revolution. Listening to the preliminary reports from various parties, Academician Sun took a deep breath and commanded his assistant, immediately consolidate all initial findings and analysis reports into a classified brief. I need to present a special report to Vice Chairman Liu and the core leadership group within half an hour. Each discovery has the potential to cause seismic shifts in the international scientific community. Chapter 13. Well done, young man. You possess remarkable tenacity. Soon, a broader encrypted video conference convened at the base command center. Participants included military and scientific leaders on site, along with heads from key ministries such as the National Development and Reform Commission, the Ministry of Science and Technology, the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, and the Ministry of Finance. As Academician Sun presented the preliminary analysis of the energy gun, the astonishing performance data of the otherworldly material, and the potential existence of an entirely new biological energy system, the director of the Development and Reform Commission was the first to express. The uniqueness of the Zhulong project is indisputable. The special budget channel has been activated. The initial allocation of 2 billion RMB will be available within an hour. Further funding can be initiated based on project requirements to ensure a continuous flow of resources. The Minister of Science and Technology followed suit. I have ordered the activation of the National Key Technology Emergency Response Mechanism. All national key laboratories and engineering centers related to energy, materials, biology, physics, and space science across the country are on standby, with unconditional priority given to the needs of the Zhulong project. The Minister of Industry and Information Technology spoke with determination. All major central enterprises, especially those involved in high-end manufacturing, precision processing, new materials, and communication equipment have received preparatory notifications. Their production lines and R&D teams are ready to provide robust support for the project. Whatever is needed, we can produce. On the screen, Vice Chairman Liu's expression was solemn as he summarized. Comrades, what we are experiencing may represent a turning point in the development of our national scientific paradigm. From this moment forward, the Zhilong Project is officially established as a national special strategic project with authorization level A. All departments and units must break conventional barriers, collaborate wholeheartedly, and concentrate resources to ensure the project's smooth advancement. This is a command, as well as a responsibility bestowed upon us by history. After the meeting concluded, Zhang Mingyu leaned towards Li Guofeng and whispered, "Did you see that? This is our institutional advantage. When true opportunities, even challenges, arise, we can swiftly unify the strength of a nation, forming an indomitable force." Li Guofeng nodded in deep agreement. 3 days later, at the Zero Zone base, Chen Ziang was under comprehensive, meticulous monitoring. In addition to routine physiological metrics and energy field assessments, every performance during specialized training, every attempt to control the spatial gate, was meticulously recorded by precision instruments and analyzed by top experts. Soon, a significant pattern was clearly revealed by the data. Analysts discovered that during periods of high-intensity physical training, when Chen Ziang was in a state of beneficial fatigue, yet core indicators such as cardiovascular function and muscle recruitment were at their peak, his connection to the spatial gate showed a slight but distinct enhancement in stability and intensity. At such times, his perception of the spatial gate was also notably clearer. Conversely, when he was excessively fatigued or lacked adequate rest, not only did his perception of the gate become blurred, but there was also an incident where, while attempting to summon the spatial gate, its outline flickered uncertainly, delaying the opening by fractions of a second. Brainwave monitoring indicated that during optimal physical conditions, the brain regions associated with spatial perception, abstract thinking, and conscious focus exhibited heightened activity, showing a stronger synchrony with the fluctuations of the gate's energy field. The head of the expert team, armed with this highly correlational data report, approached academician Sun and Minister Zhang Mingyu. Sun Laosher, esteemed leaders, the data points to a clear conclusion. Comrade Chen Ziang's physical condition serves as a crucial foundation for his stable connection and manipulation of the spatial gate. It may even be the bottleneck. The leader pointed at the chart to explain, his body functions like a biological amplifier or stabilizer. The better his physical state, the stronger his capacity to bear and guide that unknown energy, thus solidifying his connection to the spatial gate and enhancing responsiveness. After reviewing the briefing, Zhang Mingyu instructed, "Now that we have identified the key correlation, immediate action is required. Under the premise of ensuring safety, we must devise a scientific, systematic plan to enhance Chen Ziang's physical condition to optimal levels." Soon, Chen Ziang's schedule was revamped, brimming with various practical training modules. Tighten your core. This isn't about holding your breath. Imagine your abdomen as a steel plate, and the energy flow must be stably conducted from this plate. Lei Zhan observed Chen Ziang, who was performing weighted planks while attempting to channel energy to communicate with the gate. His voice was low yet carried an undeniable authority. On the training ground, Lei Zhan was an unwavering taskmaster. He seldom wasted words, demonstrating movements with precision and enforcing nearly rigorous standards. As sweat dripped from Chen Ziang's jawline onto the training mat, he grit his teeth, striving to adjust his breathing while feeling the burn in his abdominal muscles and the faint stir of energy flow. Breath rhythm. Synchronize it with the frequency of guiding the gate's energy. Don't falter. Lei Zhan discerned his disarray immediately, stepping forward to gently tap the side of his waist with his foot. Relax here. Being too tense hinders the flow. Aside from Lei Zhan, other members of the Dragon team each possessed unique strengths. The firepower specialist, Taishan, was aptly named, with fearsome strength. He was responsible for guiding Chen Ziang in explosive power training and impact resistance exercises. "Ziang, watch closely," Taishan roared, his robust arms suddenly exerting force to flip a massive tire that required hydraulic equipment to move, the action imbued with explosive vigor. Dealing with those creatures requires more than finesse. At critical moments, you must possess the brutal strength to smash them. Now, give this lighter one a try. Chen Ziang gazed at the tire towering over him, swallowing hard. But under Taishan's encouraging yet unyielding gaze, he gritted his teeth and charged forward. Time and again, He faced failure, only to adjust and exert his efforts anew. When he finally managed to lift the smaller tire with sheer willpower, Taishan's massive hand came down heavily upon his shoulder, causing him to stagger, yet accompanied by a hearty commendation. "Well done, lad. You possess a remarkable tenacity." The scout, Nighthawk, resembled a silent assassin. He imparted to Chen Ziang the nuances of utilizing the environment for concealment, the art of keen observation, and the mastery of controlling footfalls and breath. In that realm, both sight and sound may not be the most reliable senses. Nighthawk's voice always remained low, as if fearing to disturb something, urging him to learn to use sensation to perceive the subtle shifts in airflow, the tremors of the ground, and even the malicious gazes lurking in the shadows. He devised various intricate obstacle courses, training Chen Ziang to navigate without triggering alarms, honing his vigilance and adaptability to his surroundings. The medic, Qing Luan, was tasked with Chen Ziang's treatment. While attending to the shoulder he strained during training, she gently advised, "Ziang, your body is now a national treasure, but it is foremost your own. If something feels amiss, speak up. Do not endure in silence." Her eyes reflected the concern of a healthcare professional. Chapter 14. The final plan was solidified. Initially, Chen Ziang sat with the Lejean team at mealtime. He felt somewhat reserved, for these national elite warriors emanated an aura that suggested distance. However, after a few encounters, the atmosphere became markedly more relaxed. "Ziang, I heard your energy guidance test yesterday extended the stability time by another 5 seconds? Impressive," remarked a nimble teammate nicknamed Monkey, as he busily shoveled food onto his plate. His tone laced with admiration. They were all aware of Chen Ziang's significance and had witnessed his relentless training efforts. Chen Ziang smiled modestly. "I still have a long way to go. Captain Lei mentioned we are far from meeting the combat requirements." Lejean, chewing on a high-protein steak, looked up and remarked nonchalantly, "Progress isn't slow. Just maintain it and avoid injury." This was the highest form of encouragement he could muster. Occasionally, the team would share amusing anecdotes from the military or tease one another about training mishaps, causing suppressed laughter to ripple through the dining hall. Chen Ziang listened intently, feeling the indomitable camaraderie forged through life and death trials, even though he could not interject. After the meal, as he rose to leave, Lejean approached and handed him a bottle of energy drink. "Thank you, Captain Lei." Observing Chen Ziang's composed demeanor, Lejean suddenly inquired, "Are you afraid?" Chen Ziang paused, silent for a few moments, then candidly replied, "Yes." "That's perfectly normal," Lejean stated calmly. "To be unafraid is foolish. But being afraid does not equate to retreat. Remember, you are not alone. Behind you stand us, the entire base. Guard the door, steady the path, and leave the rest to us." Though devoid of grandiloquent phrases, these simple words served as an anchor of reassurance. On the 5th day, less than 50 hours remained until the anticipated activation of the spatial gate. That morning, after completing his morning training, Chen Ziang was summoned to a small briefing room in the core area of the base. Inside, Vice Chairman Liu, Minister Zhang Mingyu, Academician Sun Qiming, Lejean, and several senior military officers responsible for logistics, communications, and equipment were already seated. All eyes focused on Chen Ziang as he entered. "Comrade Ziang, please take a seat." Vice Chairman Liu spoke with a calm tone, yet his gaze was sharp. "We need to confirm several key details today. Do not be nervous. Share your observations with us as thoroughly as possible." Chen Ziang inhaled deeply and sat in the allotted position. Academician Sun was the first to speak, getting straight to the point. "Ziang, based on your observations and training over the past few days, how long do you estimate the spatial gate can maintain stability once activated?" Chen Ziang closed his eyes, carefully sensing the increasingly clear coordinate point in his consciousness, along with the feeling of a certain energy capacity connected to it. Opening his eyes, he cautiously replied, "Report, sir. I sense, though not with certainty, that if I must conclude, my intuition suggests. If it merely maintains the existence of the passage without crossing, it might last around 10 minutes. However, should any person or object traverse, it will consume its stabilizing energy. Depending on the amount and frequency of the crossing entities, the duration will shorten. My preliminary estimate is that in the case of personnel crossing, the safe window period is roughly 1 to 2 minutes. Exceeding this time will lead to a sharp decline in the gate's stability, and forcing it to remain open could impose significant strain on me and potentially trigger unpredictable risks." The atmosphere in the meeting room grew solemn. Minister Zhang Mingyu then asked. Regarding the capacity for passage, how many individuals do you believe this gate can safely allow through at once? Is it capable of transporting large equipment, such as vehicles? Chen Ziang concentrated once more, as if measuring the width and strength of the intangible door. He shook his head. Vehicles likely won't work. I sense that the passage of the gate has its limits, akin to a pipe with a fixed cross-section. The more individuals that pass through at once, the greater the impact on stability. It feels that a maximum of 2 individuals can pass side by side at one time. As for the total number, if they pass quickly in batches, around 12 individuals should be the relatively safe limit. Beyond that may exceed the threshold. Of course, this is merely based on my intuition, as I have not verified it. He paused, adding, moreover, at the moment of crossing, there will be a noticeable sensation of spatial tugging. The larger the volume and mass, the more intense the feeling. At this moment, an officer from the communications department posed a critical question. Most importantly, Comrade Ziang, if you also enter that world, will we be able to maintain communication with you or the team inside the gate? Without hesitation, Chen Ziang shook his head, clearly stating, no. I attempted this after my first entrance. Once I crossed the threshold, electronic devices lose their connection with Earth, rendering any information exchange nearly impossible. The world beyond the gate seems to possess a strong characteristic of information isolation. The communication devices carried by the team will likely also fail to penetrate the barrier between the two worlds. Finally, Vice Chairman Liu posed the most crucial question. Ziang, given these circumstances, do you believe you need to enter personally? Chen Ziang raised his head and responded, yes. Only I can perceive the state of the gate most clearly from within, ensuring it can be opened stably upon return. Without me as the gatekeeper, those who enter will not be able to come back. After the inquiries concluded, Chen Ziang was excused to rest. The highest decision-making body of the base immediately convened behind closed doors. Following intense yet efficient discussions, the final plan was established. The exploration team was set to comprise 12 members. Led by Lei Zhan, the Dragon team's first assault squad would include 6 core members, namely Lei Zhan himself, Firepower Specialist Taishan, Scout Knight Hawk, Medic Qing Luan, and others, responsible for comprehensive security, tactical command, and emergency response. Additionally, a seasoned tactical commander would assist Lei Zhan. 4 members would be included for research and technical support, comprising a geological environment specialist, a materials energy systems engineer, a biologist, and a data recorder and analyst. They would be tasked with on-site sample collection, environmental monitoring, and preliminary analysis. The most crucial figure in this endeavor was Chen Ziang. His mission was to ensure his own safety while maintaining the spatial gate's coordinate sensing and return activation capabilities. The method of entry and withdrawal would involve rapid, phased infiltration. Upon activation, the Dragon team members would enter first to establish a security perimeter, followed by the research personnel, with Chen Ziang in the middle batch to ensure safety. The extraction would follow reverse operation, with Chen Ziang and key personnel prioritizing exit, while the rear team would be the last to withdraw. All actions must be completed within 1 minute. Abandoning vehicles and other large equipment. All gear must adhere to the requirements of being portable by a single soldier and allowing for rapid passage. Priority is given to weapons, protection, life support, sample collection, and basic research equipment. Communication devices are primarily intended for short-range contact within the team and attempts to relay weak signals to the base near the entrance. Finally, a 6-member reserve team, composed of other members from the Dragon team and substitute experts, has been designated to remain on standby at the base. Chapter 15. Are you ready? With the final confirmation of the advanced team list, Chen Ziang's daily training reached its zenith. On the afternoon of the 5th day, he was assigned to don a dark silver Qilin protective suit and enter simulated space training. Standing before the heavy alloy door of the simulation pod, the door slid open silently, revealing an abyss of darkness within, and a chill, mingled with ozone and a peculiar simulated otherworldly dust, enveloped him. Parameter settings, theoretical limits. Came the calm, yet resolute voice of the technical supervisor through the communicator. As he stepped inside, the door sealed behind him, cutting off the light from the outside world entirely. The environment transformed dramatically. Air pressure plummeted, and his eardrums felt as if gripped by an invisible hand. A persistent sense of oppressive weight pressing down with each breath becoming laborious, requiring his lungs to exert greater effort to extract sufficient oxygen. In the air, The concentration of invisible energy particles was forcibly elevated. Although true replication of otherworldly energy was impossible, a faint electromagnetic field of special frequencies pricked at his skin and nerves like countless minute needles. Irregular light pulses flickered in the near-total darkness, resembling eyes peering from the shadows. This comprehensive stimulation left him agitated, as if swarms of ants were crawling through his veins, with energy coursing like a startled wild stallion, darting through his meridians. Illumination was suppressed to the extreme, barely outlining the rugged contours of the simulated ground beneath his feet. Shadows flickered ominously, as though monstrous entities lurked within, intensifying the test of his psychological endurance and the forced activation of his dim vision. The sound system amplified the atmosphere to its peak, no longer merely the sound of wind or distant roars, but a complex, three-dimensional surround sound. The rustling noise nearby suggested something was crawling against his protective suit. The sharp sound of metal scraping assaulted his eardrums. Most chilling of all was the faint yet incessant sound of writhing beneath his feet, constantly teasing his taut nerves, hinting that this land was alive. He needed to navigate a complex obstacle course despite such a hostile environment, climbing simulated slick walls covered in viscous, unknown moss, struggling to maintain balance on a swaying simulated pipeline barely wide enough for half a foot, traversing a zone marked as high risk, with every step potentially triggering virtual traps. Simultaneously, he had to allocate a significant portion of his focus to simulate the sensing and coordinate conformation of a spatial door at fixed intervals. During one training session, as he concentrated intensely, attempting to sense the door amidst a sudden violent tremor in the simulated environment, a piercing screech erupted, reminiscent of a bug-like scream that detonated deep within his eardrum, completely unexpected. Chen Ziang's muscles tensed instantly, his sensing of the door spiraling out of control. Cold sweat soaked through his inner lining. He gasped for air, the visor of his protective mask fogging up, forcing himself to suppress the scream that threatened to escape his throat, exerting all his willpower to gradually restore the door to its predetermined trajectory. Adapt to it. Outside the pod, Lei Zhan's voice came through the communicator, cold and serious, devoid of any emotion. Over there, anything can happen. You must learn to maintain focus amidst distractions. Even if the sky falls, your core mission must not waver. After emerging from the simulation pod and resting briefly, Chen Ziang was assigned to carry a load equivalent to half his body weight while undergoing extreme circuit training on a rugged simulated terrain obstacle course. This was not merely a test of physical endurance, but a challenge of willpower. The route for the weighted cross-country run was complex and steep, featuring slopes demanding full sprinting and narrow bridges requiring careful navigation. Climbing training increased the weight requirement, with smaller rock points set farther apart, necessitating precise exertion even when his muscles were intensely sore. Emergency evasive maneuvers were integrated into all training. Instructors would suddenly issue commands, and he had to react instantly with rolls, leaps, and seeking cover. Failure to do so would result in being marked as deceased. The final lesson from the survival expert involved quickly identifying potential water sources and structures that could provide temporary shelter within a simulated environment filled with bizarre, simulated plants. Using limited tools to attempt retrieval. On the sixth day, Chen Ziang was equipped with VR devices aimed at honing his mental resilience. The virtual reality apparatus transported him to a highly realistic otherworldly ruin. This time, it was not merely a pursuit. He needed to navigate through a low-visibility spore fog, relying on limited detectors and intuition to find the correct path while evading the elusive patrols of insectoid creatures. The sense of uncertainty and the looming threat of danger was almost suffocating. The simulated team encountered a barrage of insectoid ambushes, and he witnessed comrades being torn apart, acid splattering onto his visor. He had to maintain composure amidst overwhelming fear and rage, executing Lei Zhan's retreat command and completing a difficult breakout alone. When the simulated spatial door malfunctioned, he had to fend off sporadic insectoid harassment while repairing it based on rapidly flashing, fragmented otherworldly text hints before the countdown expired. After each VR training session, Chen Ziang emerged as if pulled from water, drenched in cold sweat. The psychological expert would immediately intervene, employing professional techniques to help him stabilize his wildly fluctuating emotions, ensuring that these terrifying experiences did not leave scars, but transformed into invaluable psychological immunity lessons. Finally came the team joint exercise, fully simulating a real combat scenario. All 12 members of the exploration team participated, conducting a comprehensive drill based on existing information within a one replica of the otherworldly ruin, strictly adhering to a 1-minute countdown. Every step from the door opening to the team's retraction was rehearsed to the second. The drill involved responses to various scales and types of insectoid attacks, ranging from silent evasion to swift engagements with small groups, and ultimately to holding positions while surrounded by large swarms awaiting rescue. Chen Ziang was always kept at the core, yet he needed to maintain energy perception while on the move, providing early warnings for potential spatial anomalies. Lei Zhan set various unexpected scenarios: team members injured, critical equipment failures, predetermined routes blocked, testing the team's adaptability and Chen Ziang's ability to ensure personal safety and door coordinates remained stable amidst chaos. In the simulation, tactical hand signals and eye contact became the primary means of communication. After a rigorous training session, Chen Ziang had become proficient in understanding most commands and could express his status using simple gestures, such as indicating energy stability, detecting anomalies, or needing a brief pause. At the conclusion of the exercise, Lei Zhan approached Chen Ziang, who was hydrating, observing his exhausted yet resolute gaze, and solemnly asked, "Ziang, are you ready?" Chen Ziang wiped the water from his mouth, met Lei Zhan's gaze, and nodded firmly. "Team Lei, I am ready." Without superfluous words, a silent understanding flowed between them. Chapter 16. Wishing you a successful exploration and safe return. Action. On the evening of the 7th day, with just 12 hours and 34 minutes remaining until the opening of the spatial door, all training ceased. Chen Ziang underwent a final comprehensive physical examination and energy status assessment. The results invigorated everyone. His physical prowess had reached the level of an athlete, and his psychological resilience far surpassed that of ordinary individuals. His tolerance for the alien environment had significantly improved. Alone in his room that evening, he meticulously conducted a final inventory of his equipment: the Qilin 2 protective suit, an experimental energy pistol, spare energy blocks, a first aid kit, a water pouch, high-energy food bars, and a data tablet containing crucial maps and information. His movements were steady and practiced. Lying on his bed, he no longer reflected on the details of his training. Instead, an unexpected tranquility enveloped his mind. No longer did images of fear and confusion occupy his thoughts, but rather the steadfast faces of Lei Zhan and his comrades. He knew he had done his utmost. On the morning of the 8th day, the air within the No. 0 Special Zone base seemed to have solidified, infused with an atmosphere of tension, anticipation, and a weight of history that permeated every corner. Everyone understood that the 7-day preliminary phase of research, validation, and preparation was nearing its conclusion. The historic moment of organized exploration into the otherworldly realm, looming since the day of discovery, was about to unfold. In the command center, silence reigned. One could hear a pin drop. The massive main screen displayed a relentless countdown in vivid red. Only 1 hour and 15 minutes remained until the first proactive activation of the spatial gateway. Vice Chairman Liu Jinghua personally occupied the command seat, flanked by the heads of the 3 headquarters, military commanders, and key ministry leaders, all standing in solemn focus on the screen. Final status confirmation for all systems. Liu Jinghua's voice, steady and authoritative, resonated throughout the command center and all related areas. Lei Zhan's voice emerged first from the advanced team's preparation zone, calm and resolute, reporting to the commander. The Dragon Team Advance Assault Unit, consisting of 12 members, has completed the final equipment check. Personal protection, weapon systems, communication relays, environmental detection, sample collection, and emergency rescue units are all in optimal condition. We will adopt an absolute defense formation to ensure Comrade Chen Ziang remains at the core of our protection. The head of the medical support team reported. The mobile field first aid unit, multiple isolation quarantine chambers, and broad-spectrum response plans for unknown pathogens and toxins are all in place. The medical team will follow closely behind the advanced team. The scientific exploration team reported 17 types and 46 sets of detection equipment, including multispectral environmental scanners, rapid material analysis devices, energy field mapping instruments, and biological activity detectors, have completed final calibration. The data transmission link is operational. At that moment, Elder Qian, supported by an assistant, re-entered the command center. He declined the prepared seat. insisting on standing. This threshold has been crossed by our nation for thousands of years. Today, I will stand to witness it being surpassed. As the countdown entered its final 30 minutes, Chen Ziang, accompanied by Lei Zhan and a medic, arrived at a specially reinforced preparation room filled with monitoring probes. He donned a custom-made exploration suit, codenamed Qilin. This outfit utilized insights gleaned from the analysis of the energy pistol's materials, combined with the country's top technologies, offering lightweight mobility without compromising protection against physical impacts, energy radiation, extreme temperatures, and potential biochemical threats. How does it feel? If there are any discomforts or concerns, now is the time to voice them, Lei Zhan said, his tone unusually gentle as he regarded Chen Ziang. After days of interaction and joint training, he had developed a sincere admiration for the young national treasure's resilience and sense of duty. Chen Ziang took a deep breath, feeling the slight pressure of the Qilin combat suit against his body. He shook his head, his gaze clear and resolute. Captain Lei, I am ready. A bit nervous, but more so, determined to fulfill my mission. Lei Zhan patted his arm guard firmly. Good lad. Remember, we are a team. Behind you stands us, the base, and the entire nation. As the final 10 minutes of the countdown commenced, an absolute silence enveloped the command center and the entire base, punctuated only by the ticking of the electronic clock and the suppressed breaths of the personnel. When the clock struck 8 o'clock, Chen Ziang's tightly shut eyes snapped open, a subtle blue luminescence flickering within them. He reported clearly into the microphone, reporting to the commander. The activation permissions for the spatial gateway are ready, and the opening program can be executed at any time. In the command center, every heart leaped into their throats. Vice Chairman Liu Jinghua inhaled deeply, his expression solemn yet filled with hope. Comrades, history will remember this day, your courage and dedication. On behalf of the nation and its people, I wish you a successful exploration and safe return. Action. Complete the mission with resolve. In unison, the advance team responded, their voices resonating with unparalleled determination and honor. Under the vigilant protection of Lei Zhan's squad, Chen Ziang stepped into the marked area at the center of the preparation room. He held his breath, focusing his will. As he guided his spirit, the energy in the air began to stir violently, and a cerulean point of light materialized, rapidly expanding to stabilize into the familiar oval portal, its edges shimmering with energy runes. The darkness within the portal swirled, as if connecting to the origins and ends of the universe. Activation successful. Energy stable. Channel parameters normal. The excited voice of the monitor rang out. Chen Ziang turned to glance back at the command center. Although he could not see the people on the other side, he could feel the countless gazes filled with anticipation, concern, and trust. He inhaled the familiar air of the base, then steeled his gaze. Action. Lei Zhan's low command echoed. Two team members responsible for reconnaissance were the first to step into the light gate, confirming that the environment on the other side was stable. Immediately after, Lei Zhan patted Chen Ziang on the shoulder, signaling him to follow closely. Chen Ziang did not lead, but rather took a position in the center of the formation, surrounded by Lei Zhan and several core team members, stepping into the swirling darkness. Following him were the fire support team, communication personnel, medics, and engineering experts, 12 members, each entering the cerulean light in an orderly and swift manner. As the last team member vanished through the portal, it seemed to fulfill its purpose, the blue light gradually dimming, contracting, and ultimately dispersing into twinkling starlight in the air. Chapter 17. There are some suspected skeletal fragments, their form, non-human. In the command center, a solemn atmosphere prevailed. The energy readings representing the portal's existence dropped to 0. Everyone understood the significance of this. It was an anticipated outcome. The channel was one-time use only. The channel has closed as scheduled, Minister Zhang Mingyu announced calmly, his gaze sweeping across the room. We have lost direct communication with the Zhu Long advance team. Vice Chairman Liu rose, approaching the command podium with a firm and powerful voice. Comrades, do not be disheartened by the closure of the channel. This is a step we anticipated. Comrade Chen Ziang, Captain Lei Zhan, and all team members have bravely taken this step, carrying the hopes of our nation and the courage of humanity. We must believe in their capabilities and their determination. Academician Sun's eyes glistened with tears, yet his face bore a proud smile. They have not been lost. They have ventured forth to forge a new path. Like sailors of the age of discovery, they knew the dangers they might face, but still set sail. Elder Qian nodded in agreement. Indeed, Our mission here is not yet complete. We must monitor all anomalies in that area around the clock. Minister Zhang adjusted his glasses. His tone resolute. Record. At Chang'an time X hour X minutes, the Zhu Long Advance Team, consisting of 12 members, along with key personnel Chen Ziang, has safely arrived in the target world. As per the scheduled plan, the channel has completed its mission. We firmly believe that the warriors will fulfill their duty with honor. On the other side of the light gate, as the fleeting sensation of time and space distortion dissipated, a peculiar tactile sensation of hardness mixed with crispness greeted their feet. Lei Zhan, Chen Ziang, and other members of the Dragon Team's advance party stepped through the light gate in succession. The 12 individuals, alongside Chen Ziang, immediately dispersed into a tactical formation they had rehearsed countless times, forming a defensive circle with Chen Ziang at its core, all weapons pointed outward, vigilant for potential threats. The air was laden with a scent that assaulted everyone's senses, thick, tinged with the aroma of rust, mingled with an indescribable, sweet metallic tang reminiscent of ozone and decaying organic matter, dry and cold, bringing a slight sting upon inhalation. The gravity here was comparable to that of Earth. Yet the atmospheric pressure seemed slightly lower, inducing a mild tinnitus. The scene that unfolded before them caused even the most rigorously trained and psychologically resilient members of the Dragon Team to involuntarily draw a sharp breath. The sky was perpetually shrouded in a leaden gray, devoid of sunlight or moving clouds, enveloped in a stifling, suffocating haze, as if the entire planet were cloaked under a thick, unyielding cloud of dust. The light appeared to emanate from nowhere, uniform and dim, reminiscent of an early dusk on Earth. They found themselves at the edge of a vast and desolate square, the ground beneath them cracked and displaying a morbid interplay of gray-black and deep red hues, resembling concrete, but riddled with intersecting fissures and enormous craters. Surrounding the square were the ruins of buildings that stood like the remnants of colossal beasts. Their architectural style was strikingly different from anything on Earth, with smooth lines and geometric elegance, constructed predominantly from metallic or unknown materials in cold tones of silvery gray and dark blue, all now bearing the scars of catastrophic destruction. Some structures were cleaved in half, exposing their distorted frameworks, while others were marked by massive claw marks and corrosive pits. Some had entirely collapsed into heaps of rubble. Many of the surfaces were coated with a viscous, dark purple, fungal blanket that appeared to writhe slowly, emitting a faint bioluminescence. Silence reigned. Aside from the wind's mournful wail as it swept through the ruins, there were no sounds of insects, birds, or any human or large biological activity. It was a chilling, absolute silence. Maintain vigilance. Night Eagle, deploy microdrones for low-altitude reconnaissance within a 500-meter radius. Artisan, collect air, soil, and surface samples. Taishan, establish a temporary defense point. Qingluan, monitor the physiological indicators of all personnel. Lei Zhan's voice resonated through the built-in communicators, calm yet urgent, shattering the unsettling quiet. Understood. The team members replied in hushed tones, swiftly springing into action. The reconnaissance operative, codenamed Night Eagle, retrieved several fist-sized microdrones resembling hummingbirds from his backpack, deftly activating them. The drones ascended silently, dispersing like true hummingbirds. Equipped with high-definition cameras, thermal imaging devices, and sonar detectors, relaying real-time environmental data back to the team. Engineer Artisan crouched down, employing specialized sampling tools to meticulously gather dust, shattered ground materials, and air samples, placing them into a multifunctional environmental detection box at his waist for preliminary analysis. Firepower specialist Taishan and another team member quickly extracted several fist-sized metallic discs from their backpacks, activating them and positioning them around the perimeter of the defensive circle. Upon landing, the discs extended their stands with a low hum, unfurling a pale blue, nearly transparent energy barrier. This was a domestically developed portable personal shield generator. Though its duration was limited, it could provide invaluable warning and defensive time. Medic Qingluan swiftly scanned each team member with a portable medical scanner, including Chen Ziang. Vital signs stable, no evident signs of poisoning or radiation response. Environmental adaptability is good. Chen Ziang stood at the center of the formation, curiously yet cautiously surveying this unfamiliar world. Unlike the last frantic escape, this time he had the luxury of careful observation. He noted that some distant buildings bore peculiar symbols and writings, incomprehensible yet vaguely reminiscent of oracle bone script or some form of hieroglyphs, evoking a sense of inexplicable wonder within him. Thunder Team, preliminary analysis of air composition is available, Artisan reported. The nitrogen-oxygen ratio is close to that of Earth, but oxygen levels are slightly lower, approximately 18.5. There are unknown inert gas components about 3, along with trace amounts of unidentified energy-active particles. No known toxic gases or high radiation levels detected. Masks can be temporarily removed, but prolonged exposure is not advised. Lejean pondered for a moment. Everyone, refrain from removing masks unless absolutely necessary. Conserve internal oxygen reserves. Activate filtration mode. The drones returned preliminary images, and Night Eagle focused intently on the tactical tablet on his arm. No signs of large biological activity detected within a 500-meter radius. The level of destruction is severe, with extensive signs of battle, energy weapon burns, physical tears, and indications of some form of strong acid or biological enzyme corrosion. No complete corpses found, but there are fragments resembling non-human skeletal remains. He paused, adding, additionally, numerous patches of that dark purple fungal blanket have been found, widely distributed and seemingly growing slowly. The drone's close-range scans indicate a weak biological energy response, but no aggression has been exhibited. Document all anomalies and highlight areas concentrated with those symbols. Lejean commanded. Chapter 18 over there. It seems something lies beneath the rubble. Lejean turned to Chen Ziang. How do you feel? What's the status of the gate? Chen Ziang closed his eyes to sense the surroundings, replying, the gate is closed but stable. In my perception, it feels like a clear coordinate point. I can always sense its presence and state. It remains close to me. Cooling time. 12 hours. 12 hours. Good. Lejean nodded. We will proceed as planned. The first objective, to locate any potential information centers or library-like structures, to acquire maps and foundational information about this world. According to your last description and preliminary drone reconnaissance, approximately 1.5 kilometers ahead lies a large building with a hemispherical top, relatively intact, meeting our exploration criteria. We will designate it as Target 1. He retrieved the drone footage of Target 1. It was an imposing structure, despite surface damage and fungal coverage. Its overall integrity was maintained, its grand scale and distinctive design hinting at its historical significance. Check equipment. We depart for Target 1 in 5 minutes. Maintain silent movement mode. And exercise caution around fungal blankets and unidentified structures. Lejean issued his final directive. The team members swiftly conducted final checks of their weapons, gear, and communication devices. Chen Ziang took a deep breath, gripping the pistol issued to him tightly. The team advanced cautiously through the desolate ruins. Lejean led the way, with Chen Ziang protected in the center of the formation. Night Eagle was responsible for reconnaissance and securing the rear, while Taishan and another fire support specialist flanked left and right, alert to any potential threats. Artisan paused occasionally to document unusual structures or traces along their path. The ground beneath them bore no resemblance to its former state, obscured by debris, twisted metal, and that dark purple fungal blanket. The team moved with utmost care, attempting to avoid the fungal patches, as drone scans indicated that these spores might exhibit an exceedingly slow assimilation reaction to materials not native to this world. The surrounding ruins silently recounted the harrowing battles of the past. Enormous claw marks in the walls revealed bone-deep gouges, stretching several meters long, leaving one to ponder the terrifying strength of the creatures capable of inflicting such devastation. Melted craters, remnants of energy weapons, are ubiquitous, their edges still smooth, indicative of the momentary high temperatures they endured. Scattered about are severely weathered fragments of alien weaponry and mechanical debris, distinct from terrestrial designs. Here, the craftsman halts before a relatively pristine metallic wall, gesturing towards the intricate symbols and text engraved upon it. The structure of these characters exhibits a discernible pattern, with certain radicals bearing striking resemblances to the ancient script of our Daxia. The overall system appears remarkably similar, although some samples have been meticulously deciphered. I managed to grasp a portion of it. He meticulously records these inscriptions with a high-precision scanner. Chen Ziang also notes the peculiar design of many windows and doors in the surrounding architecture, seemingly not intended for beings of human stature. Some openings are excessively high, while others are unduly narrow. Life sign scans remain negative. The Night Eagle reports drone reconnaissance results every few minutes, revealing no moving targets. The bioenergy response of the fungal mat remains stable. This profound silence breeds an unsettling tension among us, as we remain acutely aware of the potential dangers concealed beneath this desolate ruin. After traversing approximately 1 kilometer, our path opens into a relatively spacious intersection. At its center stands a dried-up fountain base, now reduced to a bed of black sediment. Adjacent to this base lie several relatively intact, bizarre white skeletons. Halt! Lejean raises his fist, and the team immediately stops, establishing a temporary defensive line using the surrounding debris. The craftsman and Qing advance undercover to examine the remains, confirming they do not belong to any known Earth species. The craftsman observes carefully. The size is roughly comparable to that of an adult human, yet the bones are more slender, with an oversized cranium, unusually positioned eye sockets, and elongated fingers numbering more than those of humans. A preliminary assessment suggests these to be the skeletal remains of the planet's indigenous intelligent beings, or rather, the former inhabitants. Qing employs a sampling tool to extract a small quantity of bone powder and adhering material. The surface of the bones bears gnawing marks that may correspond with the oral structures described by Chen Ziang regarding the insectoid species. The time of death is indeterminate, but judging by the degree of weathering and environmental effects, it must have occurred quite a while ago. This discovery weighs heavily on the hearts of the group. These white bones are likely the remnants of the original civilization's denizens, who seemingly fell victim to an insectoid massacre. Chen Ziang's gaze drifts over the bones, sweeping past the base of a partially collapsed building nearby. This base is composed of a dark silver metal, its surface marred by signs of corrosion and inscrutable etchings. Suddenly, his attention is captured by an object reflecting the dim daylight. Nestled within an inconspicuous gap in a pile of rubble beneath the base, only a small portion is visible, blending with the surrounding debris. Yet its regular geometric shape and distinctive metallic texture send a jolt to Chen Ziang's heart. This sensation is so familiar. Lay team, Chen Ziang whispers, tinged with incredulous excitement. It seems there is something beneath the rubble. Lejean immediately follows his gaze, his eyes sharp. He gestures for Chen Ziang to remain still while he cautiously approaches the debris, his weapon trained on the suspicious area. He scrutinizes the surroundings, ensuring there are no signs of traps or lurking dangers. What is it? Lejean inquires, gently prodding the surface rubble with his firearm. As the debris falls away, the full form of the object gradually reveals itself, a sleek firearm, imbued with an exotic technological allure. Its entire body is a muted silver-gray metal, featuring lines more elongated than the one Chen Ziang had previously found. Beneath the barrel, there appears to be an auxiliary grip or stabilizing structure, and one side of the gun is embedded with a larger, similarly dull crystal. Its design unmistakably aligns with the technological lineage of Chen Ziang's weapon, yet it exhibits distinct differences in details, suggesting a more advanced version or a different model. Another gun. Chen Ziang cannot help but exclaim softly. Lejean's pupils constrict slightly. Exercising caution, he refrains from directly touching it, opting instead to retrieve a tool with a telescoping rod and claws from his tactical belt, carefully extracting the gun from the rubble and gently brushing off the surface dust. This weapon feels slightly heavier than Chen Ziang's, its structure more intricate. Yet it remains relatively intact, save for minor scratches and dust, with no significant damage evident. Craftsman, Lejean calls out. The craftsman ceases his sampling and jogs over. Upon seeing the pristine, otherworldly weapon in Lejean's hand, his eyes widen in astonishment. Chapter 19. This resembles a library or archive. Hurry, preliminary analysis. Lejean hands the gun to him. The craftsman takes it, producing a portable scanner to conduct a rapid non-contact scan. The material characteristics align closely with previous samples. The internal energy circuitry is even more complex. The energy core, similarly depleted, yet structurally sound. My goodness, this appears to be a more advanced model. Possibly a standard rifle or precision marksman rifle. This unexpected revelation invigorates the entire team. This not only signifies the acquisition of an additional weapon sample, but also substantiates the existence of a comprehensive equipment system within that civilization. Lejean immediately recognizes its value. Intently instructing, record the discovery coordinates and surrounding environment. This gun shall be prioritized for preservation. Chen Ziang gazes at the newly uncovered, more imposing energy firearm. his heart brimming with awe and curiosity. How many more such technological marvels does this world conceal? Why did their owners abandon such advanced weaponry, allowing this world to devolve into a silent wasteland? Just as Lei Zhan and the craftsmen prepare to rejoin the team, an unexpected turn of events occurs. Beep, beep, beep. The tactical tablet on the Night Eagle's arm emits a piercing alarm. Warning, high-velocity life form signals detected. 3 o'clock direction, 150 meters away, rapidly approaching. Quantity, 3. No, 4. Energy response characteristics. Match 87 with database records of insectoid samples. Almost simultaneously with the alarm, a cacophony of chitinous clattering reverberates from the depths of the ruins at 3 o'clock, drawing closer with alarming speed. Enemy attack. Prepare for combat. Lei Zhan roars, instantly raising his assault rifle. This specially modified weapon, in addition to standard ammunition, is equipped with small-caliber high-explosive and armor-piercing rounds to counter unknown threats. Protect the target. Retreat to the left side of that partially collapsed building and establish defenses. The team reacts swiftly, consolidating their formation to shield Chen Ziang and the craftsman, who carries crucial equipment, as they hastily move towards the remains of a large structure with a surviving portico on the left. Just as they dash into the building's entrance and set up a defensive position against the fractured walls and columns, for dark purple figures spring forth like phantoms from the shadows of the ruins. They are the insectoids described by Chen Ziang, roughly the size of adult hunting dogs. Their bodies are clad in dark purple chitinous armor, their red glowing compound eyes radiating pure murderous intent, and their heads wield massive, scythe-like bone forelimbs that slice through the air with a shrill howl. Their movement combines the agility of insects with the explosive speed of reptiles, leaving afterimages as they sprint. Open fire. Lei Zhan commands without hesitation. Bang, 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 rat-a-tat-tat. The assault rifle unleashes a torrent of fire, a deluge of armor-piercing and high-explosive rounds instantly engulfing the two foremost insectoids. Bullets strike their chitinous exoskeletons, sending sparks and fragments flying, accompanied by dull thuds. One insectoid loses a forelimb to a high-explosive round, emitting a sharp screech and slowing down slightly, yet another presses on through the gunfire, closing the distance by over 20 meters. The exoskeleton's strength is extraordinarily high. Conventional ammunition proves ineffective. Taishan bellowed, continuously firing while unloading the individual rocket launcher from his back. Craftsman, hand me the energy pistol, Chen Ziang asserted, seizing the energy pistol from the craftsman's grip, aiming at the injured approaching Zerg. He held his breath, recalling the sensations from the past few days of training, channeling the faint internal energy flow, and squeezed the trigger. A slender blue-white energy beam shot forth, striking precisely between the compound eyes on the Zerg's head. A piercing scream erupted from the creature as the impacted area instantly charred and vaporized, its massive body stiffening abruptly before crashing to the ground, convulsing a few times before becoming still. Effective. However, Chen Ziang felt a slight tingling in his arm. Well done, Lei Zhan praised, simultaneously commanding, Taishan, deal with the other one. The rest provide cover fire to prevent them from getting close. Boom. Taishan fired the rocket launcher, a high-explosive rocket streaking towards the swarm. The leading Zerg attempted to leap away but was thrown back by the explosion's shockwave, its shell shattering, green fluid splattering. Clearly unable to survive, the remaining two Zerg seemed momentarily deterred by the death of their companion and the intense firepower, emitting urgent hisses while seeking cover amidst the ruins. Attempting to flank the team, they possess tactical awareness. They are not mindless beasts. Nighthawk calmly reported on the Zerg's movements, one on the left, one on the right. Approaching while using cover. Qingwan, smoke grenades. Craftsman, set up the broadsword. We will retreat into the building, utilizing its complex terrain. Lei Zhan remained composed, swiftly adjusting tactics. PFF. 2 smoke grenades detonated in front of the porch, dense smoke instantly obscuring the Zerg's vision. The craftsman quickly deployed directional anti-infantry mines at the entrance and several potential breach points. The team seized the opportunity to rapidly retreat deeper into the unknown structure. Inside, the building was equally dilapidated, littered with fallen debris and dust, but the structure was relatively complex, featuring numerous rooms and corridors for maneuvering. Maintain silence and follow my lead. Lei Zhan whispered, we will play hide and seek with these two Zerg right here. Nighthawk, utilize the life detector to locate them. After a brief but intense exchange of fire, The ruins fell into an eerie silence once more, smoke slowly dissipating. The interior of the building was dimly lit, with only sporadic gray daylight filtering through the damaged dome and peculiar patterns on the walls, faintly glowing with a ghostly blue luminescence, providing limited illumination. The air was thick with the stale scent of dust and a metallic, iron-like tang, more pronounced than outside. Switch to low-light vision mode. Lejean commanded quietly. The team's helmet visors immediately glowed with a pale green halo, clarifying their surroundings. They found themselves in an extraordinarily spacious hall. The floor laid with severely worn dark metal tiles, surrounded by walls towering over 10 meters high, adorned with honeycomb-like frameworks, most of which were either vacant or collapsed. With only a few retaining objects resembling scrolls or square panels, thickly coated in dust, at the center stood a massive, non-operational circular structure, seemingly once an information querying or display device. This place resembles a library or archive. The craftsman lowered his voice, a hint of treasure discovery in his tone, as he quickly scanned the environment and the remnants. Chapter 20, Lei's Team. Significant discovery. Stay vigilant. The Zerg lurk in the shadows. Lejean reminded, signaling with his hand. The team promptly split into two groups. Lejean, Chen Ziang, and Qing Wan in one group, Nighthawk, Taishan, and the craftsman in the other, alternating cover as they advanced along the hall's perimeter, aiming to locate areas potentially housing maps or core documents. The life detector in Nighthawk's hand displayed two slowly moving red dots, indicating that the two Zerg had also entered the building, seemingly dispersing and approaching from different directions. A Zerg was drawing near from the left corridor, approximately 50 meters away. Nighthawk reported through the bone conduction headset. Understood. Group A will handle the left side. Group B will guard the right side and the center of the hall. Lejean swiftly assigned tasks. Chen Ziang gripped the energy pistol, his palms slightly sweating. He could hear the powerful beating of his heart within his chest, alongside the faint but distinct sound of chitin scraping against the ground from a distance, gradually drawing closer. Suddenly, a flash of red light flickered in the shadows of the left passage. They are here. Lejean growled lowly, and almost simultaneously, a dark purple figure lunged like lightning, aiming directly at Lejean, who stood slightly ahead. Bang, bang, bang. Lejean calmly squeezed the trigger. 3 shots striking the Zerg's head with precision, sending shell fragments flying and slowing its charge. Yet the creature's forelimbs still swept toward him with a fierce rush. Be careful. Chen Ziang instinctively raised his hand, firing the energy pistol once more. The energy beam struck the joint of the Zerg's flailing forelimb, deflecting it and granting Lejean precious time to evade. Meanwhile, from the right side came Taishan's roar and the continuous firing of an assault rifle, accompanied by another Zerg's sharp screech. Group B was also under attack. Group A, concentrate fire on the left target. Group B, report your status. As Lejean sidestepped behind a massive metal pillar, he commanded. Group B encountered another one, suppressing fire. It is cunning, using the bookshelves for cover. Taishan's voice mingled with gunfire. Qing Wan, flashbang. Lejean called to the medic, who also undertook part of the support combat tasks. Qing Wan swiftly retrieved a non-lethal weapon from her tactical vest, removed the safety, calculated the angle, and hurled it toward the left Zerg. Bang! A muffled explosion erupted, a brilliant white light illuminating the dim hall instantaneously. Even with protective goggles, everyone felt momentarily blinded. The approaching Zerg, clearly disrupted by the sudden brightness, emitted an angry and bewildered screech, its movements noticeably pausing. Now's the time. Lejean and Chen Ziang leaned forward to shoot almost simultaneously. Rifle bullets and energy beams poured down like rain upon the Zerg's head and the vulnerable area connecting its thorax and abdomen. The creature let out a final wail, its massive body swaying a few times before collapsing heavily to the ground, dark green fluids gushing from the puncture wounds and scorch marks. Left target neutralized, Lejean reported. Group B's target has been driven to the second floor and has fled. Nighthawk's voice followed. The hall momentarily returned to silence, save for the heavy breaths of the team and the cautious, subtle footsteps of Group B in the distance. Well done, Ziang. Lejean looked at Chen Ziang, his eyes filled with approval, quick to react and precise in shooting. Chen Ziang sighed in relief, feeling his back drenched in cold sweat. It was a collective effort. Qing Wan quickly approached, examining the Zerg's corpse and collecting blood and shell samples. The bodily fluid is highly acidic. Take care not to come into contact with it. The shell structure is multi-layered and exhibits exceptional resistance to kinetic weapons. Meanwhile, the craftsman eagerly began inspecting the remaining objects resembling scrolls and panels. He carefully blew away the dust, discovering that the panels were made of an incredibly resilient and lightweight material, cold to the touch, inscribed with dense, peculiar characters and intricate diagrams. The scrolls appeared to be crafted from some biological membrane, unfolding to reveal more detailed, map-like lines and annotations. Lay's team, a significant discovery. The craftsman's voice trembled with excitement. These panels seem to be technical manuals or logs, and these scrolls are maps. Although the script is unintelligible, the graphics are exceptionally clear. Everyone gathered around. The artisan carefully unfurled the largest scroll upon the ground. Delicately etched lines depicted mountains, rivers, roads, and numerous architectural markers. At the center of the scroll lay a prominent symbol resembling the shape of their target structure, accompanied by several smaller building indicators. This is likely a map of the city. The artisan pointed to the central pattern, indicating, here should be our current location, the Book City, our next objective. An area that may house weapons or energy facilities is also marked on the map, located to the northwest of the city, approximately 3 kilometers away. With a symbol resembling a tower or energy core, he then picked up several thin plates, which bore not only inscriptions, but also schematic diagrams of energy circuits and peculiar mechanical structures. These appear to be designs for some sort of energy system, perhaps even including energy weapons. This revelation invigorated everyone. Quickly gather all items that may contain maps, technical blueprints, and written samples. Prioritize those that are most intact and richly symbolized. Lejean commanded. The team immediately sprang into action, carefully placing the scrolls and plates into specially designed sample boxes equipped with shockproof, radiation-resistant, and energy interference-proof features. Chen Ziang also assisted in the organization, noticing some of the inscriptions on the thin plates. Although he could not comprehend them, certain characters bore a familiar structure, reminiscent of some ancient, undeciphered oracle bone inscriptions he had seen before. Once the data collection was complete, Lejean conducted a sweep of the building's interior, confirming it was temporarily safe. His taut nerves began to relax, replaced by a weariness akin to surviving a catastrophe. Maintain security, take turns resting. Qingwan, assess injuries. Artisan, inspect equipment wear. Everyone else, replenish water and energy, and remain quiet. Lejean's voice was slightly hoarse yet steady. The team silently obeyed the orders. Taishan and another firepower specialist vigilantly guarded the entrance and windows. Qingwan first checked the injuries of those who had been splashed by acidic liquid on their armor. Applying a special ointment once, she confirmed only a mild burning sensation remained. She then approached Chen Ziang. How are you feeling? Your first real battle. As she used a portable scanner to check his vital signs, her tone softened, contrasting her usual cool demeanor. Chapter 21. Transitioning towards Objective 2. Chen Ziang took a deep breath, releasing the energy pistol he had held tightly, only to discover his palms were clammy with sweat and his arm muscles trembled slightly from prolonged tension. Fortunately, just a bit shaken, he candidly admitted. Recalling the menacing appearance of the insectoid creatures that had charged at them, his heart still fluttering. A normal reaction. Remember this feeling, but do not let it control you. Qingwan handed him a small piece of high-energy compressed chocolate and a water pouch to replenish his sugar and hydration levels. You shot accurately and saved Lay's team. Nearby, the artisan was tenderly cleaning his beloved environmental detector, now covered in dust and green insect blood. These brutes have shells that are absurdly hard, and the energy readings are peculiar. Ziang, I've recorded the data from your energy pistol. We must analyze it later. It seems energy weapons are indeed the way forward. Nighthawk leaned against the wall, resting with his eyes closed but his ears alert, clearly still listening for any external sounds. Suddenly, he spoke, his voice low but clear. At 3 o'clock to the left, approximately 80 meters away, there is a continuous scratching sound. They may be lurking about. The right side is silent. Lejean nodded, took a sip from the water pouch, and then sat next to Chen Ziang, offering him a small packet of beef jerky. Chew on this to regain your strength. Your reactions were swift, surpassing my expectations. Especially that last shot, which disrupted the insect's pursuit. Chen Ziang received the jerky, warmth spreading through him. It was everyone's cooperation. He glanced around at the weary yet resolute faces of his companions. Without you all, I certainly would. No what-ifs. Lei Zhan interrupted, his gaze steady. We are now a team, a collective. You are an indispensable part of this whole. Remember to trust your teammates, just as we trust you. During the brief respite, no one spoke excessively, yet an unspoken camaraderie and support permeated the air. Chen Ziang savored the jerky, imbued with the taste of home, listening to the soft breaths and the rustle of equipment from his comrades, as tension and unfamiliarity gradually yielded to a profound sense of belonging. This was not merely a mission. It was a group of individuals supporting one another in a foreign world, sharing life and death. Before long, Nighthawk suddenly issued another alert. The life detector shows multiple signals approaching from the building's perimeter. The quantity exceeds 10. Energy readings are consistent with the insectoids. They may have been drawn here by the earlier battle. Lei Zhan's expression hardened. Prepare for evacuation. Proceed towards Objective 2 along the predetermined route. Move swiftly. The advanced team promptly organized their gear, securing the sample boxes filled with precious data, and reformed their defensive formation. Swiftly and silently departing from this repository of knowledge and deadly peril, the Book City. Behind them, the disquieting rustling sound drew closer from all directions. The team swiftly navigated through the ruins along a barely discernible street. Following the guidance of the recently acquired map, they avoided several areas marked as high risk or structurally unstable, opting for a relatively unobstructed path towards the target designated as the Energy Tower. From the direction of the Book City, the eerie, chilling screeches characteristic of the insectoids faintly echoed, clearly indicating that more of them had been attracted there. This further confirmed their urgency to distance themselves. Maintain speed. Be cautious of your footing and high ground on both sides. Lei Zhan's voice resonated through the mask, exuding an undeniable calm. He remained in the most perilous position of the team, serving as their most steadfast shield. The street was still flanked by continuous ruins. Yet the architectural style began to shift, evolving from the previous focus on aesthetics and information storage to a more pragmatic, structurally robust industrial or military design. Enormous pipes twisted like contorted serpents around the outer walls of buildings, many of which had ruptured, revealing dark, gaping openings. In some plazas, foundations resembling reactors or energy transfer towers stood, now reduced to mere remnants marked by scorching traces. The concentration of energy-active particles in the air was gradually increasing. The artisan, while running, monitored the environmental detector, which pointed towards their goal. Additionally, a faint, persistent background radiation was detected, its intensity within safe limits but of unknown origin. Record the data. Qingwan, recheck everyone's radiation exposure levels, Lei Zhan commanded. Radiation levels are normal, all below the safety threshold, Qingwan swiftly replied. After progressing approximately 1 kilometer, the team entered a relatively open area, resembling a former transportation hub where several streets converged. However, this region had suffered severe damage. The ground was riddled with massive cracks and pits, and several peculiar aircraft-like wrecks were awkwardly embedded in the rubble, long since corroded. Caution, this area lacks cover. Lei Zhan cautioned. Move through quickly. Just as the team was about to dash across this open expanse, an unforeseen change occurred. Beep, beep. Nighthawk's life detector blared a piercing alarm. Directly ahead, to the sides in the ruins, a multitude of life signals was rapidly approaching. The count exceeded 20. They were being surrounded. A sinking feeling settled in the hearts of the group. They had been ambushed. From the shadows of the ruins ahead and on either side, a swarm of insectoids surged forth. Their sizes varied, some as small as hunting dogs, while others were nearly comparable to small automobiles. The dark purple exoskeleton glimmered with a chilling sheen under the dim light, while the crimson compound eyes fixated on the squad intruding upon their territory, emitting a menacing hiss. The sharp appendages scraped against the ground, creating a disconcerting symphony. Defensive formation. Seek cover. Prepare for a bloody battle. Thunderous roars erupted from Lei Zhan as he immediately raised his weapon and fired. Bang! The foremost creature fell lifeless to the ground. Yet more of its kind surged forth like a relentless tide. Open fire. In an instant, gunfire erupted. Assault rifles and squad automatic weapons unleashed furious tongues of flame. Bullets sweeping through the horde like a metallic storm. High explosive shells detonated amidst the swarm, sending fragments of exoskeletons and limbs flying. Taishan's rocket launcher roared again, obliterating a massive, tank-like creature into countless pieces. Chen Ziang, with unwavering resolve, fired his energy pistol, each flicker of light striking true, dispatching its foes with precision. Yet, his arm began to tingle from the relentless barrage. The sheer number of creatures was overwhelming, and their ferocity was unmatched. They charged relentlessly from multiple directions, aiming to breach the vanguard's defenses. A particularly swift creature slipped through the hail of gunfire, lunging toward the flank of Nighthawk. Watch out! Without a second thought, Chen Ziang instinctively pivoted his weapon and pulled the trigger. This time, the energy beam seemed more robust and faster, sizzling through the air and vaporizing half of the creature's head. However, more of their kind were already upon them. Their corrosive acid sprayed forth, eating away at the metallic debris serving as their temporary refuge, hissing ominously. Scythe-like forelimbs waved menacingly, cutting through the air with a sharp whoosh. Chapter 22. You ask, what were the emotions of this civilization in their final moments? This cannot continue. The ammunition is depleting too rapidly, Taishan shouted as he reloaded. Lei Zhan's keen gaze swept across the battlefield, suddenly noticing a relatively intact square building with an open door ahead, resembling a warehouse or fortress, its structure remarkably sturdy, seemingly avoided by the creatures. We will break through to the building on the right. Alternate cover. Team A leads. Team B provides rear support. Lei Zhan commanded decisively. Team A, follow me. He fired a volley of bullets, suppressing the creatures ahead, and led Chen Ziang and Qing Luan towards the building on the right. Team B, consisting of Nighthawk, Taishan, and the craftsmen, concentrated their fire, frantically shooting at the advancing creatures to buy time. The shrieks of the creatures mixed with the whistling bullets nearly drowned out all other sounds. Chen Ziang, in the heat of the moment, could even feel the chill of the creature's appendages slicing through the air. Qing Luan timely threw the last smoke grenade, temporarily obscuring the creature's line of sight. At last, Team A narrowly dashed through the entrance of the square building. Lei Zhan immediately turned, using the door frame as cover to fire at the pursuing creatures, providing support for Team B. The three members of Team B fought and retreated, struggling to enter the building amidst the hail of bullets and the onslaught of creatures. Just as the craftsman crossed the threshold, he shoved a remote detonation device into the crack of the doorframe. Boom! As several creatures attempted to rush in, the preset explosives detonated, collapsing part of the entrance and temporarily halting their advance. The interior of the building was spacious, cluttered with dust-covered boxes and equipment. With no immediate threats in sight, the team seized a moment to catch their breath. Yet the incessant sounds of the creatures crashing against and clawing at the walls outside indicated they had not given up. Assess casualties and ammunition. Lei Zhan leaned against the wall, slightly gasping for air. No one was severely injured. Qing Luan had a minor wound, her arm splattered with acid, which had been treated. Ammunition expenditure exceeded 40%, Nighthawk quickly reported. The situation was grim. This building, it seems to be marked on the map. The craftsman, breathing heavily, unfolded a city map, illuminating it with a flashlight. Look here, this symbol resembles a shield or fortress with a smaller point nearby, marked as possibly a weapons or storage symbol. The group gathered around, indeed finding a similar marking at their current location on the map. This building. See if there are any valuable discoveries or alternative exits. Lei Zhan ordered. The team immediately dispersed, cautiously exploring the unknown space. Chen Ziang and the craftsman teamed up, approaching a neatly stacked pile of metal boxes. The craftsman carefully pried open one of the boxes, revealing several energy pistols, similar in design to the one Chen Ziang had found, albeit with slight variations. While the energy cores seemed depleted, the weapons themselves were well preserved. Among them was a large-caliber energy shotgun. These are energy weapons, the craftsman exclaimed with delight. They opened several more boxes, uncovering additional weapons and even a few compact devices that appeared to be portable shield generators. Deep within the innermost sealed chamber of the building, they made an astonishing discovery: a relatively intact workstation, adorned with several sheets of uniquely materialized plates, intricately inscribed with complex energy circuits and structural diagrams, accompanied by notes resembling design specifications. This appears to be a design for some form of miniaturized plasma reactor. The craftsman's voice trembled with excitement. As if he had struck gold, Lei Zhan turned to Chen Ziang, inquiring, "How long until we return?" 6 hours. Chen Ziang replied. 6 hours. Lei Zhan pondered their plan momentarily, then spoke with a steady and resolute tone. Rapidly gather all weapons, weapon samples, and design data. Complete the collection of containers and rest in place. After issuing the command, Lejean surveyed the surrounding area, ensuring the shelter was temporarily secure and that the precious weapons and blueprints were gathered. Take turns to rest for 1 hour. Nighthawk, first shift. Wake me in half an hour. The rest of you, make the most of your time to sleep. Lejean commanded. In this alternate world, sleep was an exceedingly luxurious means of recovery. The team shed their heavy gear, but kept their weapons within reach. The shelter boasted an independent air circulation system, albeit outdated, providing relatively fresh air, allowing the team to cautiously remove their masks for a moment. Breathing became less suffocating. Taishan leaned against the wall, almost instantly slipping into a light snore, having borne the brunt of the firepower and burden. The craftsman remained engrossed in studying the design sheets, muttering to himself as he recorded notes on his portable computer. Chen Ziang, seated beside a metal box, though weary, found himself unable to sleep. The day's events had been overwhelmingly shocking. He took out a crystal inscribed with ancient characters, repeatedly examining it under the soft light of the shelter. Can't sleep? Lejean's voice arose beside him, as he handed Chen Ziang a tube of liquid nourishment, insisting he eat something before resting. An overly active mind is detrimental to recovery. Chen Ziang accepted the food, thanking him. Lejean, what do you think? The emotions of this civilization were in their final moments. Lejean fell silent for a moment, gazing at the sturdy walls of the shelter and the stored supplies. Despair, but perhaps also resentment and hope. They built such a shelter, preserving knowledge and weapons, indicating they never surrendered. Just like us, no matter the challenges we face, our mission must be accomplished, and we must return home. At that moment, Qing Wan approached, holding a specially formulated high-efficiency nutrient tablet and electrolyte supplement. Handing it to Chen Ziang. Dissolve it slowly, she instructed, her voice authoritative, imbued with the certainty of a medical officer. She squatted beside Chen Ziang, applying a cooling gel to his aching right arm, the high-frequency vibrations swiftly alleviating the stiffness and burning sensations caused by lactic acid buildup. During combat, mental tension peaks, causing muscles to tense excessively. Without timely relaxation, it could impair subsequent operational capabilities. While she maneuvered, she explained in a calm tone. Following a brief interlude, the shelter gradually fell silent, leaving only the sound of rhythmic breathing. Chen Ziang soon felt a wave of drowsiness wash over him, trusting his teammates. He succumbed to a deep slumber. After a period of rest, Lejean issued a new operational task. We have 5 hours remaining, a more ample time frame than anticipated. Although risks persist, we must not squander this opportunity. The map indicated that through this underground emergency passage, we could reach a facility marked as Energy Dispatch Center. There, we might uncover a more complete energy core or even clues regarding the city's defense systems. This is a chance to deepen our understanding of this world's technological hierarchy and its history of struggle. We withdrew from the underground passage, prioritizing the exploration of the Energy Dispatch Center to obtain core data. Our actions must be efficient. We must remain vigilant. Chapter 23. This civilization. They also refer to it as Xinzhou civilization. The advanced team members swiftly went into action, packing the standard energy pistols, portable shield generators, and designed blueprint data storage units discovered within the shelter. Taishan and the craftsmen took on the majority of the burden. Equipment was checked, with ammunition resupplied as a priority. The underground situation remained unknown. Preparing for close-quarters combat, Lejean commanded. The team quickly inspected their weapons, prying open the heavy concealed hatch. A gust of cold air mingled with mold, metallic rust, and a faint hint of ozone surged forth. The staircase descended into a profound darkness. Nighthawk was the first to deploy a micro-drone equipped with illumination and scanning equipment to scout the path ahead for the advance team. The stairway structure was robust, and the air composition resembled that above ground, devoid of any obvious toxic gases. No life signals were detected, yet there were faint energy readings deep within the passage. Nighthawk reported, "Maintain formation, descend." Lejean gestured and stepped into the darkness first. The team followed suit, the last member cautiously leaving the hatch ajar, preserving a route for retreat. The underground passage was more spacious than anticipated, wide enough for 3 persons to walk side by side. The walls were smooth alloy, and the ceiling featured extinguished light strips at intervals. The drone's front light illuminated the path ahead, revealing a network of passages akin to the veins of a city. Guided by the map, they moved swiftly yet cautiously toward the energy dispatch center. Along the way, they observed further evidence of this civilization's once orderly operations, luminescent symbols indicating different zones, well-maintained pipe systems, and even remnants of automated transport vehicles. However, signs of battle were also evident. Energy weapon scorch marks on the walls, massive claw prints, and scattered remnants of non-human skeletons, previously encountered, indicated that warfare had indeed spread underground. After about half an hour of progression, a massive, sealed alloy door loomed ahead, engraved with a complex emblem featuring an energy tower at its center, marking the entrance to the energy dispatch center. Defensive energy turret bases flanked the door, yet the turrets themselves lay in ruins. Craftsmen attempt to open the door. The others remain alert. Lejean ordered. The craftsman stepped forward to inspect the control panel at the door's edge. Although the panel was dim, he tried placing a thin sheet resembling a permission key found in the shelter near the interface. To his surprise, the panel flickered weakly to life, emitting intermittent buzzing sounds. Their essay response. The system still possesses residual energy, but the permission verification failed. Higher authorization or hacking is required. The craftsman swiftly operated the portable decoder he carried. At that moment, Nighthawk's hushed warning came through. Something's amiss. Life signals. From our direction. And from a side passage. Numerous entities, moving quickly. It's the Zerg. They are following us, or there may be a nest underground. Prepare for battle. Lejean roared. Craftsmen, accelerate. The rest, establish a defensive line, using the door for cover. The team quickly set up a temporary position relying on the door and the corner of the passage. The heavy, rhythmic clicking sounds approached ominously from the dark passage, growing nearer with each heartbeat. Suddenly, several swift Zerg emerged from a side passage, darting towards them like purple lightning. Open fire. The gunfire shattered the underground silence. Bullets and energy beams wove a net of firepower, shredding the foremost Zerg. Yet, the numbers were overwhelming, surging from multiple directions, including several large, heavily armored Zerg akin to heavy tanks, pressing forward steadily under fire, brewing dangerous acid projectiles in their maws. Suppress them. Do not let them near the door. Taishan bellowed, wildly firing the last of his heavy machine gun ammunition. Chen Ziang's energy pistol fired in rapid succession, accurately hitting the vulnerable spots of the smaller Zerg. But he felt powerless against the heavy Zerg. He swiftly turned and retrieved an energy shotgun from the box. The door has opened. The craftsman finally succeeded in hacking the authorization. With a heavy mechanical grinding sound, the massive alloy door slowly slid apart, revealing a much larger space beyond. Alternate cover. Retreat into the center. Lejean commanded as the team fought while withdrawing. Just as the majority of the team was about to enter through the door, a heavy Zerg violently broke through the fire blockade, its massive scythe-like forelimb aimed mercilessly at Taishan, who was covering the rear. Cornered. Be careful. Chen Ziang's pupils constricted. Almost instinctively, he aimed the energy shotgun at the heavy Zerg, firing with a strong intent to save. Buzz. A beam of energy, thicker and more blinding than before, shot forth not in a straight line, but in a sweeping arc. It not only melted through the heavy Zerg's head, but also carbonized several nearby smaller Zerg. This strike was immensely draining, leaving Chen Ziang feeling weak, and the energy shotgun began to overheat and signal an alert. Yet the effect was significant. The Zerg's advance faltered. Quickly, come inside. Lejean yanked the somewhat fatigued Chen Ziang into the energy center, with the other team members following closely. The craftsman immediately began operating the internal control panel, and the heavy door slammed shut just as a few Zerg attempted to rush in, isolating most of the pursuers outside. Outside, frantic pounding and screeching echoed. The interior of the energy dispatch center was vast, filled with various intricate and colossal control consoles, energy conduits, and core reaction devices. Many machines still flickered with faint indicator lights, suggesting that remnants of energy were still in operation. The air was thick with the characteristic ozone scent of high-voltage electricity, accompanied by a somber silence. Once temporarily safe, Qing Wan promptly checked Chen Ziang's condition: energy depletion, excessive fatigue, requiring rest. She administered a nutrient and sedative injection. I'm fine, just a bit drained, Chen Ziang panted, feeling the flow of energy within him slowly restoring. Lejean patted his shoulder, saying nothing, but the approval and concern in his gaze were unmistakable. Search the center for core data, energy samples, and any records regarding the indigenous population. The team dispersed cautiously to explore. This place was evidently one of the hearts of the city's energy network. The craftsmen located a backup energy system that was still functioning slowly on the main control console and successfully retrieved some undamaged logs and data. Lay team, there's a significant discovery. The craftsman's voice trembled with excitement. I found portions of the city logs. They document the situation during the early stages of the catastrophe. This civilization, they also refer to it as Shenzhou civilization, possessing highly advanced technology and psychic stones, a peculiar crystalline substance. In the face of the Zerg invasion, they mounted a valiant resistance. The logs mention various levels of defense systems, including city shields, psychic matrices, and plasma defense networks, deployed from planetary orbits to deep underground. Chapter 24, Countdown to Zero. The artisans summoned some indistinct battle footage. Enormous human warships clashed with the insectoid bioships in orbit. Ground troops donned streamlined power armor, wielding formidable energy weapons as they battled against the relentless tide of insects. Some footage even suggested that individuals from the Shenzhou could harness psychic stones to channel ambient energy, forming shields or launching attacks. However, the sheer number and adaptive capabilities of the insectoids were overwhelming. They could consume energy and evolve targeted resistances. Shields were shattered one by one, and matrix nodes were obliterated. The artisan's voice grew somber, concluding the log with a mention of the Supreme Council initiating the Spark Protocol, dispersing survivors into deep shelters in an attempt to preserve the essence of civilization. Survivors? Deep shelters? Lejean keenly seized upon these keywords. Indeed, the log referenced several potential coordinates for deep shelters, though most signals had already vanished. Yet, the artisan operated the console, bringing forth a faint, intermittent signal source marker. Flickering on the map in a mountainous region far from the city center, this signal was exceedingly discreet, utilizing an independent encrypted frequency with minimal energy output. A pattern entirely distinct from the main network, as if deliberately hidden to evade detection by the insectoids. The signal's characteristics bore slight differences from the general signals of the Shenzhou, suggesting it might belong to an independent shelter or perhaps a group of survivors. A lead on the possible existence of survivors. This revelation sent a jolt of hope through everyone. This world was not entirely devoid of life. Record all coordinates, especially the location of this faint signal. Lejean commanded. It could be the key to future explorations. Meanwhile, Taishan and Night Eagle made another discovery in an emergency supply depot deep within the center. The depot contained not only more standardized energy weapons and shield generators, but also conventional weaponry, ammunition, and crystalline energy stones. In a refrigerated cabinet bearing biological markings, they discovered a light blue serum, accompanied by intricately designed syringes. The symbols on the cabinet indicated that this was not a mere enhancer, but a serum for life stabilization and potential activation, seemingly used by the Shenzhou to enhance or stabilize their physical attributes and maintain life in extreme environments. Clearly, this substance was also a valuable strategic resource for them. This stuff is precious, Night Eagle remarked. The team swiftly replenished their depleted ammunition, gathered otherworldly standard weapons, crystalline energy stones, and carefully stowed away the serum and syringes they had found. After acquiring shocking information about Shenzhou civilization and the survivors from the energy center, with less than 15 minutes remaining until their return, Lejean decided to wait in the relatively safe interior of the center. They would establish a temporary defense here. Awaiting their return, Lejean ordered the setup of a perimeter, alternating rest periods while maintaining communication silence. The team quickly utilized debris in their equipment to establish a simple defensive position. Despite being equipped with more ample ammunition, the strain of continuous high-intensity battles and explorations had left everyone utterly exhausted. Qing Wan tended to their minor injuries and administered another nutrient shot to Chen Ziang to aid his recovery. I hope you all heard what I just said. The artisan leaned in closer to Chen Ziang, showcasing the blurry battle footage he had recorded. This is a great civilization. There may still be embers burning. If we can return, I hope we can meet those survivors. Chen Ziang nodded silently, examining the energy-filled Shenzhou standard rifle he had just equipped, feeling its cold touch and the power it contained, as if he could sense the will of its previous owner. gazing at the indistinct battle footage, a grand, melancholic, yet indomitable collective emotion surged within him. He envisioned those individuals resolutely holding their ground in the final moments, feeling the despair as the city's shield shattered. At that moment, Taishan approached, carrying several bags filled with energy magazines, distributing them to everyone. Hey, I must say, these otherworldly weapons are something else. Much lighter than our metal clunkers. And they pack a punch. Night Eagle, rarely speaking, turned from his monitoring station, adding, at least we've upgraded our firepower. Once we all learn to use these, we can give those insects a run for their money. His words drew a few low chuckles. Everyone began to organize their gear, categorizing data storage units, serum samples, and ammunition for proper storage. They helped each other check equipment clasps and passed materials with synchronized, practiced movements. The artisan, along with his assistant, appeared to be conducting experiments on a makeshift, somewhat crude metallic base, engrossed in their task. As time ticked away, only 5 minutes remained until their return. Finally, Lejean whispered, "Everyone, be alert. The portal is confirmed. The return passage will open in 5 minutes. Please prepare yourselves." All stood up, gathering around Chen Ziang to form a protective circle. Chen Ziang took a deep breath, closing his eyes, striving to sense the door connecting the two worlds. He could feel it becoming clearer, more vibrant, as if responding to his call. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As the countdown reached 0, Chen Ziang concentrated all his spirit, resonating with the coordinates of the door. A powerful spatial fluctuation erupted from him, far more intense than the initial opening. Ethereal blue light surged forth, swiftly outlining the familiar oval-shaped portal, its brilliance flickering violently as the passage forcibly opened. "The portal is open. Enter in sequence. Quickly," Lejean bellowed. Without hesitation, the team maintained their defensive stances and swiftly, yet orderly, retreated into the light. Chen Ziang was at the center, with Lejean being the last to enter. As he stepped through the portal, the familiar sensation of swirling reality enveloped him once again. When his vision stabilized and he felt the solid, familiar ground of the Zero Zone base beneath his feet, everyone couldn't help but release a long sigh of relief. They had returned. Successfully returned. Zero Zone, 300 meters underground. The command center was perpetually bright as day, with a massive circular screen occupying an entire wall, displaying a myriad of complex data streams and monitoring visuals. The air was filled with the low hum of equipment and the click-clack of keyboards. Here, time seemed to lose its meaning, yet every second was meticulously measured. It had been 11 hours and 59 minutes since the advance team first entered the otherworld known as the Candle Dragon Realm. Duty technician Xiao Wang had been on shift for less than half an hour. His eyes were bloodshot from staring at the screen for too long, but he dared not show any signs of fatigue. His responsibility was to monitor the central area of the screen that represented the coordinates of the spatial door and the energy readings. Since the advance team's figures had vanished into the ethereal blue light, that area had remained a nearly straight horizontal line. Suddenly, a faint yet piercing beep echoed from his control terminal. Xiao Wang jolted upright, almost springing from his seat. He lunged toward the screen, fixating on the previously tranquil area, where the curve representing spatial fluctuations began to thrash violently, chaotically rising and falling like a lake disturbed by a massive stone. The values surged past the yellow warning zone, climbing straight into the red danger threshold. Chapter 25. Comrades, prepare for welcome. Report. Xiao Wang's voice became hoarse and strained with extreme tension and excitement as he seized the red communicator with direct access to the highest authority, nearly shouting. Strong spatial fluctuations detected. The coordinates are Comrade Chen Ziang's return anchor point. Energy levels are rising sharply. Repeat, return signal detected. Buzz. The command center, once filled with a myriad of subtle sounds, seemed to have been muted at the press of a button. All noises ceased abruptly. In the next moment, it was as if ice were cracking. What? They are back. Quickly, confirm the signal characteristics. Is there interference? What about the life signals? Get to your positions. Immediately initiate the return protocol. After a brief silence, a sudden surge of sound erupted, akin to finely tuned gears engaging in frantic harmony. The operator's fingers danced across the keyboards, their commands and confirmations echoing in rapid succession. All eyes were instinctively drawn to the main screen, to the wildly fluctuating curve. Expressions filled with incredulous joy and a hint of anxious tension. As the heavy alloy doors of the command center slid open, Vice Chairman Liu Zhengwa strode in with purpose. Having not even taken the time to don his customary coat, clad only in a crisp shirt with a slightly loosened collar. This general, known for his steadiness, now moved with such urgency that his secretary struggled to keep pace. Though his face betrayed little emotion, his tightly pressed lips and keen, hawk-like gaze were fixed on the main screen. Situation. Vice Chairman Liu's voice, though not raised, instantly commanded attention, cutting through the clamor with undeniable authority. Report, Chief. The highest-ranking officer on duty immediately stood at attention to deliver his report, his voice quivering with barely contained excitement. The energy fluctuations of the spatial gate have been confirmed. The characteristics match those at departure. It is indeed a return signal. Life signs detected are stable, but the fluctuations are intense. They may be in the process of traversing. Almost simultaneously, Minister Zhang Mingyu arrived, his complexion pale, clearly having been roused from a brief respite. Yet his gaze was equally sharp. He rushed to Liu's side, whispering, "Old Chief, the medical team and isolation protocols are fully prepared." Academician Sun Qiming burst in, supported by an assistant, panting heavily, his silver hair tousled. Disregarding decorum as he urgently inquired of a technician, "Data? Show me the fluctuation data. What are the peak values? How stable is it?" Upon seeing the screen filled with a chaotic curve reminiscent of an epileptic seizure, rather than expressing worry, his lips trembled with excitement. Wonderful, wonderful. Such intense energy interaction indicates the stability of the passage. They are truly coming back. Old Qian followed closely behind, saying nothing but silently positioning himself beside Academician Sun. Adjusting his glasses, his eyes, which had witnessed countless physical mysteries, now sparkling with childlike anticipation and anxiety. In the command center, all personnel had returned to their posts. Yet almost everyone instinctively slowed their movements, holding their breath. The air was thick with an exquisite silence, punctuated only by the hum of machinery and the relentless beeping of the return signal, striking at the heartstrings of everyone present. Vice Chairman Liu issued no further commands. He merely stood quietly, hands clasped behind his back, fists clenched, knuckles whitening with the strain. His gaze pierced through the data stream on the screen, as if transcending layers of rock and space to behold the door to the unknown world, now reopening. 12 hours. This marked the duration of humanity's first proactive cross-dimensional exploration. Each second stretched out like a century. Suddenly, the wildly fluctuating energy curve on the main screen surged to an unprecedented peak, only to abruptly diminish like a retreating tide, trending towards a relatively stable level, one that hovered above baseline, yet no longer raged violently. Almost simultaneously, Technician Xiao Wang shouted again, "Report. Energy fluctuations are stabilizing. The passage has been confirmed as re-established. Return coordinates stable. Life signs stable." Academician Sun let out a long sigh of relief, swaying slightly as his assistant quickly steadied him. He murmured, "They VE. Returned finally, returned." Old Qian displayed a smile of palpable relief, gently patting his old friend's shoulder. Minister Zhang Mingyu immediately turned, decisively issuing orders into his communicator, medical team, security team, logistics support team, execute the highest protocol immediately. Prepare to welcome our heroes home. Vice Chairman Liu's taut body finally relaxed. He slowly released his tightly clenched fists, his palms bearing deep impressions from his nails. He surveyed the bustling command center, observing the faces flushed with excitement, and spoke in a low yet clear voice that resonated throughout. "Comrades, prepare to welcome them. History awaits the answers they will bring." The medical team, clad in sealed white protective suits, was the first to arrive, pushing a mobile platform equipped with the most advanced life support apparatus and emergency medications, swiftly and silently establishing a temporary medical examination area along one side of the hall. Every gaze, visible through masks, was fixated on the heavy alloy door leading to the isolation airlock, breaths instinctively quieted beneath the masks. Next came the inner security team of the Dragon Group, replacing the usual guards, dispersing in a standard tactical formation to secure all exits and critical positions. Clad in black combat attire, their expressions stoic, weapons at the ready, they signaled that the alert level in this area had been elevated to its highest. Team leader Gao Yun stood resolutely before the medical area, a black rock amidst the fervor, his sharp gaze scanning the scene, missing not a flicker of movement. He had received strict orders to ensure the absolute safety of the returning personnel and any items brought back, leaving nothing to chance. Logistics personnel swiftly laid out soft anti-static carpets in the central hall and set up several lightweight alloy tables covered with sterile cloths, preparing a temporary display for the soon-to-be revealed spoils. Their movements were delicate, as if wary of disturbing something momentous. The air was infused with the scent of disinfectant and an unspoken tension. No one spoke. Only the faint hum of equipment and the sound of footsteps echoed in the hall. Soon, the sound of more footsteps approached from the corridor. Vice Chairman Liu led the way, his pace steady yet noticeably brisker than usual. Minister Zhang Mingyu followed closely, brow furrowed, seemingly conducting a final mental review of the reception and confidentiality procedures. Academicians Sun Qiming and Qian, esteemed figures in the scientific community, paid no mind to their advanced age, nearly jogging alongside their assistants. As they walked, Academician Sun couldn't help but confirm with the technical lead. Is it confirmed? The energy fluctuations are stable? The life signals are truly steady? Confirmed, Academician Sun. All signals are stable. The technical lead nodded vigorously. Core leaders from other departments within the base, along with a select few chief scientists permitted to partake in the welcoming, gradually arrived, instinctively forming a semicircular line behind the leaders. No one enforced order. Yet the atmosphere was deathly silent. All gazes were magnetically drawn to the tightly closed isolation door. Chapter 26. Execute the protocol. Safety first. A senior professor in materials science absently adjusted his glasses, fingers trembling slightly. He whispered to his colleague, an old rival, Old Li. Do you think they can truly bring something back? Even if it is just a stone. As long as it proves to be from that world, the biologist, known as Old Li, inhaled deeply, striving to sound calm despite the tremor in his voice. I don't know, but I have a feeling, Old Wang, that our textbooks may soon be rewritten. Time passed second by second, each moment stretching interminably. Suddenly, the indicator light above the isolation door shifted from red to green, emitting a crisp beep. They have arrived. The atmosphere became palpably tense, as if the collective spirit of everyone present had been drawn taut to its limit. Vice Chairman Liu instinctively straightened his back, while Minister Zhang Mingyu took a step forward. Academician Sun and Elder Qian held their breath in unison, straining to catch sight of what lay beyond. Gao Yun's gaze sharpened, his hand instinctively moving closer to his weapon. With a soft hiss, the heavy alloy door began to slide open, releasing a sigh of pressure. The first figure to emerge was Lei Zhan, tall and composed. Stepping out of the airlock in his dust-covered Qilin protective suit, the visor marred with faint scratches. His eyes, sharp as ever, quickly scanned the crowd. And once he confirmed safety, he slightly turned to the side. Following him, others stepped out, with Chen Ziang positioned in the middle. His complexion was somewhat pale, fatigue evident in his eyes, as if he had yet to fully detach from another realm. However, upon witnessing the eager yet tense assembly awaiting them, he momentarily froze. Behind him, members of the Dragon team and several scientists emerged, each marked by the trials of their journey, their faces etched with exhaustion. Yet their eyes sparkled with an indescribable blend of exhilaration and relief. They had returned. Unscathed, they had returned. Among the welcoming crowd, someone initiated applause. Initially sporadic and tentative, it soon ignited like wildfire, engulfing the entire hall in a thunderous wave of applause, resonating with profound respect and genuine joy, surging and crashing like a tide that nearly threatened to uproot the dome of the underground chamber. Vice Chairman Liu refrained from clapping. Instead, he strode forward, his gaze landing first on Chen Ziang, whom he patted firmly on the shoulder, his voice carrying a subtle rasp. Good. It's wonderful that you are back. You have worked hard, Comrade Ziang. He then turned to Lei Zhan and the rest of the team, solemnly raising his right hand to render a perfectly executed military salute. In that moment, all words fell short. This silent salute served as the nation's highest tribute to its heroes, a solemn acceptance of the unknown and the hope they had brought back. The resounding applause gradually subsided in response to Vice Chairman Liu's dignified gesture. Yet the atmosphere in the hall grew increasingly fervent. All eyes were fixed upon the returning explorers, or more precisely, on the heavy, specially designed sealed containers that a few team members were cautiously elevating behind them. Report, sir. The Zhu Long Advance team has successfully completed its initial exploratory mission and returned safely. Lei Zhan stepped forward, his voice booming, carrying the gritty rasp of interdimensional dust, yet imbued with strength. Though fatigued, he stood tall and straight, like an unwavering blade of battle. Vice Chairman Liu lowered his hand, his gaze intense as it swept over the team. You have all endured much, he said gravely. The nation and its people thank you for your bravery and sacrifices. His words were brief, yet weighed heavily with significance. Without further pleasantries, the chief medical officer promptly approached. Sir, according to protocol, we must immediately conduct preliminary disinfection and basic life sign checks on the returning personnel to ensure there are no foreign pathogens or residual radiation. Vice Chairman Liu nodded affirmatively. Proceed as planned. Safety is paramount. With that command, the medical team, long prepared, sprang into action, clad in light blue uniforms designed for enhanced protection. They wheeled in mobile disinfection units and portable medical testing devices, swiftly yet courteously guiding Chen Ziang, Lei Zhan, and the other explorers away from the gathered crowd towards a makeshift isolation area delineated in the hall. Comrades, please cooperate with our procedures and pass through this channel in order, the chief medical officer instructed personally. The first apparatus was akin to an airport security checkpoint, yet more complex, a curved device designed for multispectrum particle and aerosol residue detection. The team members needed to pass through one by one at a deliberate pace. Comrade Chen Ziang, please step forward, the medical officer signaled. Taking a deep breath, Chen Ziang advanced into the chamber. The device emitted a low hum as various colored beams of light swiftly scanned his protective suit. Minute traces of unknown inert dust particles were detected clinging to the suit's surface. Energy radiation levels, normal, within safe thresholds, the operator quickly reported. Initiate preliminary wind-blown and negative ion disinfection, ordered the chief medical officer. The interior of the archway suddenly expelled a powerful, yet gentle stream of sterile air, releasing dense negative ions that swiftly neutralized and eradicated the foreign dust clinging to the Chilean suit. This process lasted approximately 30 seconds. Upon completing the initial disinfection, the team members were directed to several small spaces temporarily enclosed by translucent dividers. Now, you will need to remove your protective suits for a more detailed skin examination and sampling. One of the medical personnel, donned in goggles and a mask, informed Chen Ziang in a calming tone. Please rest assured, the process will be quick. Chen nodded and skillfully began to unfasten the seals of his Chilean protective suit. Although this suit had accompanied him through life and death situations, shedding it now felt like lifting a great burden. The protective suit was carefully placed into a specially designed sealed bag, labeled, and set aside for subsequent rigorous laboratory analysis. Once the suit was removed, Chen Ziang was left in a fitted moisture-wicking combat outfit. Medical personnel promptly approached, using swabs to meticulously wipe his forehead, neck, arms, and other exposed skin areas to collect any potential trace contaminants. They employed a handheld device resembling a vacuum to gently draw out any minuscule dust that might have adhered to his hair, inspecting his eyelids, ears, and nail beds for any hidden dirt. All sampling swabs and collection containers were immediately sealed, numbered, and placed into a mobile biosafety cabinet. Meanwhile, 2 other medical personnel had already begun monitoring vital signs with a portable device. Comrade Chen, please extend your finger. A clip-like sensor latched onto Chen Ziang's index finger, and instantly, the adjacent monitor displayed his blood oxygen saturation and pulse data. Blood oxygen saturation at 98, heart rate at 92 beats per minute. Slightly elevated, but within the normal range for stress response. Another medical team member applied a palm-sized flat patch device to Chen Ziang's wrist, which emitted a soft beep as the screen rapidly cycled through blood pressure and surface temperature readings. Blood pressure 128/85 millimeters of mercury, temperature 36.9 normal. Please take a deep breath into this detection port, the medical personnel instructed, producing a respiratory analyzer to check for any anomalous components in his exhaled breath. No known toxic substances detected in the breath sample. Similar examinations were conducted simultaneously on each team member. Throughout the process, the medical team moved with agility, their coordination seamless, their focus unwavering, devoid of any superfluous words. Chapter 27. This crystal is referred to in the literature as Spirit Stone. Vice Chairman Liu, Zhang Mingyu, and others did not depart. They stood at a respectful distance, their expressions grave as they observed every aspect of the examination. They understood that these seemingly cumbersome steps were crucial for ensuring the safety of the base, preventing contamination of exploratory findings, and safeguarding the health of the team members. No detail could be overlooked. Approximately 15 minutes later, The preliminary checks and disinfection for all team members were completed. The chief medical officer, holding the freshly compiled report, hastened to Vice Chairman Liu and Zhang Mingyu, standing at attention to deliver his findings. Report, sir. Preliminary disinfection and vital signs screening completed. What are the results? Vice Chairman Liu inquired immediately. No visible external injuries or active biological contaminants observed on any returning personnel. All vital signs are within normal fluctuation ranges, consistent with physiological stress responses following high-intensity missions. The residual microparticles on the surface of the protective suits have been collected and are preliminarily identified as harmless inert dust. No high-risk pathogens or abnormal radiation signals have been detected. The head of the medical team deliberately emphasized the last statement. Upon hearing this conclusion, Vice Chairman Liu, Zhang Mingyu, and the nearby academician's son, along with Elder Qian and others who could hear the report, visibly exhaled in relief. This was undoubtedly a moment of good news in another sense. However, the head of the medical team swiftly shifted his tone and rigorously added that, according to the protocol, they still needed to enter the secondary isolation zone for a 48-hour medical observation and more in-depth blood and bodily fluid tests to ensure absolute safety. During this period, their contact with the items brought back would also be restricted. I understand the procedure, Vice Chairman Liu interjected firmly, but before that, we need to confirm the items they brought back. His gaze turned toward the sealed boxes. This was not merely a matter of curiosity. It pertained to the highest level of safety assessment and strategic decision-making. Lei Zhan immediately understood and turned to signal his team. The engineer accompanying the craftsman, with the assistance of another team member, carefully lifted one of the medium-sized boxes marked priority, one to the center of the hall, where it was placed on a sterile cloth-covered alloy table. With a soft click, the craftsman entered the password and unlocked the mechanical lock of the box. He took a deep breath, as if about to unveil a Pandora's box of a new era, and slowly lifted the lid. In an instant, the air in the hall seemed to solidify. Inside the box, wrapped in specialized cushioning material, lay several items. The most striking were several firearms, distinctly different in design from any standard weapon on Earth. Similar to those initially brought back by Chen Ziang, but with more streamlined and unified lines. They were evidently standard equipment. Some weapons were even more elongated and complex in structure, exuding a chilling aesthetic of lethality. They were still dusted with foreign soil, the metallic surfaces gleaming with a dark luster under the lights. However, what truly caused the scientists, who were well-versed in their fields, to lose their composure was a smaller container placed beside the weapons. Within it was a crystal, approximately the size of a fist, exhibiting an irregular polyhedral shape. It emanated a deep, cosmic blue hue, as if a nebula swirled within, subtly radiating an indescribable energy fluctuation and a gentle fluorescence, even in its dormant state. Just gazing at it evoked a slight spiritual tremor. This is... Academician Sun Qiming could no longer contain himself, nearly lunging toward the table. Leaning forward, his eyes fixed on the crystal, breath quickening to an almost frantic pace. An energy core. Alive. My God, I can feel the peculiar activity it harbors within. Elder Qian also advanced swiftly, slightly more composed than Sun, but the trembling fingers resting on the table betrayed the tumultuous waves within him. He stared intently at the dimly swirling light inside the crystal, murmuring, "Incredible, this energy representation is completely unlike any particle we know. It seems to be alive?" Professor Wang, a materials scientist, momentarily forgot his composure, pushing to the front, his gaze fervently scanning the weapons and the crystal. He instinctively reached out to touch it, only to halt mid-air. Turning to Vice Chairman Liu with a voice tinged with excitement, "Sir, this crystal, it could very well be the source of all energy." Biologist Professor Li, on the other hand, was more focused on another box. He eagerly inquired, "Captain Lei, are there any other discoveries, such as biological samples?" Lei Zhan nodded, signaling his team to open another box marked Biological 1. Inside were smaller, layer-sealed transparent containers, revealing dark purple, seemingly alive, wriggling fungal samples, alongside preserved fragments of exoskeletons from the insectoid species and a small amount of solidified green bodily fluid. Professor Li gasped, feeling the threat and mystery of that alien life even through the container. "Wonderful. This is first-hand data for studying the ecology and potential biological threats of that world." Minister Zhang Mingyu observed these normally stoic, Yet now childishly excited, national treasure-class scientists, his own heart stirred. He quietly remarked to Vice Chairman Liu, "Old Chief, it seems what they brought back is even more astonishing than our most optimistic estimates." Vice Chairman Liu did not respond immediately. His gaze slowly swept over the alien weapons, the crystal that seemed to possess life, and the samples representing unknown life forms. His countenance retained the calmness of a commander, yet there was a flicker of brilliance deep within his eyes. This was not merely a collection of items. It was an entirely different technological paradigm, a source of energy previously unheard of, a fragment of a lost civilization. He gradually raised his head, focusing once more on the weary Chen Ziang and the exploration team. His tone gravely serious as he stated, "What you have brought back may not be mere samples, but the very spark of life." His voice resonated throughout the hall, clearly reaching every ear present. All eyes once again fixated on those otherworldly creations, their gazes still fervent, yet now imbued with a weight of history. At that moment, the engineer accompanying the craftsman took a deep breath, as if having made a certain resolution. He looked at Lei Zhan, who nodded slightly. The engineer then turned to Vice Chairman Liu and the experts, his voice trembling with suppressed emotion and a hint of pre-demonstration tension. "Sir, esteemed experts, regarding this energy core." He pointed to the azure crystal. "We have made a extremely preliminary, yet potentially crucial discovery." He gestured for his assistant to retrieve an item from another storage box. It was a makeshift, somewhat crude metal base, connected to several wires and a simple energy indicator. In the core slot of the base was a much smaller crystal, only the size of a fingernail, its glow significantly dimmer. This had been carefully detached from a damaged weapon during the exploration. "This is a testing platform we hastily constructed using available materials," the craftsman explained cautiously. "This crystal is referred to in the literature as spiritual energy stone. We suspect its energy activation method may be related to the mental activities of the user." Chapter 28. The first exploration mission achieves results beyond expectations. Groundbreaking outcomes. Mental activity? Academician Sun immediately seized upon the key phrase, his brow furrowing. "Indeed." The craftsman nodded, glancing at Chen Ziang, who still appeared somewhat pale. During the exploration, Comrade Chen Ziang utilized the corresponding weapon to repel the insectoid species. Upon reviewing the events, we found that he did not merely pull the trigger, but was accompanied by a highly concentrated mental focus and a certain intense will to survive. He paused, surveying the astonished faces around him, continuing, "Thus, we conducted the most basic tests with this damaged item." He looked at a technician responsible for recording, who proceeded to play the 7th test segment. The technician quickly operated the equipment, and a secondary screen lit up, displaying a segment of surveillance footage. In the footage, the craftsman, wearing heavy protective gloves, did not touch any switches. His fingers hovered above the small spiritual energy stone. His eyes tightly shut, veins bulging on his forehead, clearly in a state of extreme concentration. Initially, the energy indicator showed no reaction. A few seconds later, as the craftsman appeared to tremble slightly from the effort, the needle of the indicator suddenly jumped. Although the movement was minimal and quickly receded, that momentary fluctuation was clearly captured by the high-definition camera. The footage ended. Silence enveloped the hall. This is impossible," a physicist exclaimed, rushing to the screen, nearly pressing his face against it. "The notion that thought could influence energy output? This contradicts the fundamental principles of the conservation of energy." "No, not necessarily." In the eyes of academician Qian, a terrifying brilliance erupted as he fixated on the crude testing platform, as if gazing upon an extraordinary treasure. What if this crystal itself is some sort of converter beyond our comprehension? It could transform a kind of virtual energy or informational potential related to consciousness, which we have yet to recognize, into physical energy output. This does not defy the laws of physics. Rather, it expands their frontiers. This audacious, nearly mad hypothesis left all the scientists feeling dizzy. The concept of thought-driven energy? It sounded like mythology, a notion from science fiction. But if this were true, Professor Wang, the material scientist, abruptly turned to the intricately designed alien rifle on the table, his voice trembling. If their entire technological system is built upon such a idealistic foundation of energy, then these weapons, these devices, words failed to convey the shock within him. Minister Zhang Mingyu's expression grew grave as he turned to Vice Chairman Liu, whispering, "Old Chief, This is not merely a technological advantage. It may signify a disparity in the level of civilization. Vice Chairman Liu slowly closed his eyes for 3 seconds before reopening them, his gaze deepening. He did not look at the psychic energy stone, but turned once more to Chen Ziang and the exploration team. He stepped toward Chen Ziang, this time not placing a hand on his shoulder, but instead grasping his somewhat cold hands, chilled from fatigue and tension. Comrade Ziang. Vice Chairman Liu's voice was low yet powerful, imbued with an unprecedented gravity. You have brought back a question, an ultimate inquiry about the universe, energy, and the essence of consciousness. You have returned with a path, a route we have never imagined, possibly leading to a higher form of civilization. He released Chen Ziang's hands. Turning to everyone, his voice rising with undeniable resolve. Relay my orders. The entire hall instantly stood at attention, all personnel, regardless of rank or field, holding their breath in anticipation. The Zero Zone, effective immediately. All personnel involved in the Zhulong project are to sign the highest level of confidentiality agreements. Under the direction of Academician Qian and General Sun, mobilize the nation's top talents across all related fields to conduct the most rigorous, comprehensive, and in-depth analysis of the samples brought back. I want to uncover the secrets of every atom, every subtle fluctuation of energy. Simultaneously, ensure the absolute rest and safety of our heroes. They are the nation's treasures, and their well-being is paramount. Orders cascaded down like the beating of war drums. No one cheered, but a more grand and resolute force surged within the hall. Chen Ziang observed all that transpired, witnessing the excitement, shock, and historical weight carried by those affected by what he had brought back. He faintly realized that he had stumbled upon not merely a planet. What he had opened may well be an era, and he and his companions were the first knockers at the door of this new age. For hours later, the shock and excitement 300 meters underground in the Zero Zone were strictly confined behind heavy alloy doors and the highest confidentiality regulations. In Longhai, within a seemingly simple meeting room that actually concentrated the power of the nation, thick curtains insulated the room from the external clamor, soft lighting illuminating the resolute faces around the long conference table. Present were the current stewards of this ancient nation. No pleasantries, no preliminaries. The large screen at the front of the meeting room lit up, revealing Vice Chairman Liu Jingguo's figure in a secure video link. With the command center of the Zero Zone in the background, his expression was serious, his eyes sharp as an eagle. Leaders, the Zhulong advance team has safely returned 4 hours ago. Vice Chairman Liu's opening remarks were succinct, yet they rendered the air in the conference room instantly tense, indicating that the preliminary assessment of the initial exploratory mission yielded results far exceeding expectations. Revolutionary outcomes. He paused slightly, his gaze sweeping over each listener on the screen, each word carrying the weight of 1,000. We preliminarily assess that the target world contains the remnants of a once great civilization. Its technological system fundamentally diverges from Earth's current technological framework. The screen began to switch images. First appearing was a close-up of the elongated, exotically beautiful alien rifle, alongside a high-definition image of the bluish energy stone, within which nebulas seemed to swirl. This was the energy weapon they had brought back. In its core we have temporarily named the energy stone. Vice Chairman Liu's voice remained steady, but the content struck like thunder, based on preliminary tests and reports from the exploration team. There are strong indications that this energy stone can convert biological, mental intent, and emotional fluctuations into controllable physical energy output. Despite the presence of seasoned leaders, who had weathered countless storms and could remain unperturbed in the face of adversity, a wave of subdued gasps echoed through the meeting room. Chapter 29. What we have unleashed may be a Pandora's box. A leader responsible for ideology and technological development leaned slightly forward, eyes behind glasses filled with shock and scrutiny. Comrade Jinghua, are you certain? Thought-driven energy? This transcends mere technological disparity. It borders on the realm of mythology. Currently, this is a highly credible preliminary assessment, yet not a final conclusion. Vice Chairman Liu's response was rigorous and assertive. All samples have been secured, and the top-tier team, led by Academician Qian and Comrade Sun Qiming, is conducting urgent analyses. We need to validate and comprehend this phenomenon from physical, material, biological, and even philosophical perspectives. The image shifted, showcasing peculiar alloy fragments, dark purple fungal blanket samples, insectoid shell fragments, and a small-scale reactor design depicting complex energy circuits. Furthermore, we have acquired some material samples from their civilization, biological, ecological samples, and blueprints that may represent their core energy technology. Vice Chairman Liu continued his report, noting that the material properties far exceed our highest standards and the energy design concepts are unprecedented. A leader responsible for economy and industry tapped his fingers on the table, eyes glinting with fervor as he murmured, If we can assimilate these, it would not merely be several technological breakthroughs, it would be a complete revolution sweeping through all industrial sectors. Our existing industrial framework and even resource demand models could be entirely reshaped. Another leader, clad in military uniform adorned with gleaming stars, fixed his gaze on the alien rifle and reactor design, his tone grave. Old Liu, do you understand what this implies? This is not merely a matter of productivity. It fundamentally concerns the balance of strategic power. Whoever comprehends first, masters first, applies first, will command the absolute discourse of the next era. The expressions of all present grew exceedingly grave. Following the initial shock came a tsunami-like wave of responsibility and urgency. They no longer saw mere peculiar extraterrestrial artifacts, but the crossroads of national destiny, a life-and-death test of whether the nation could seize the initiative in an impending, possibly entirely unfamiliar competitive arena. The leader presiding over the meeting remained silent, listening intently, his gaze profound as if he could penetrate the screen and witness the distant ruins of that alien world, as well as the infinite possibilities and tumultuous waves that lay ahead on this new path. He finally spoke slowly, his voice not loud, yet imbued with the power to shape destiny. The situation is abundantly clear. This is not merely a simple opportunity. It is a monumental trial bestowed upon us by the times, one that we cannot afford to fail. His gaze swept across the room, each word engraved in the air. From this moment forth, the Zhulong Project and everything it entails shall be regarded as the nation's highest core interest, without exception. The words of the meeting's leader resonated like a stabilizing force cast upon a tranquil lake, swiftly dispelling the confusion and debate that had arisen from the shocking information. The atmosphere in the conference room transitioned from extreme astonishment to intense focus and resolve. I wholeheartedly concur, declared the military leader, who bore the weight of the stars. His voice was steady, with a metallic resonance, indicating that this matter transcended the realm of conventional technological competition. I propose we immediately activate the highest-level response mechanism outlined in the top-secret Great Wall Plan, granting the Zhulong Project access to all necessary resources, including but not limited to special funds, top-tier talent, and strategic reserve materials. He emphasized the last few words, their meaning unmistakable, to assimilate this otherworldly technology. Even the last resort prepared for the nation's survival could be mobilized. I will coordinate the resource allocation, interjected the leader responsible for economy and industry, who had, unbeknownst to him, already picked up a pen, swiftly jotting notes on a blank notepad. We need to establish a special cross-departmental coordination group, led by the National Development and Reform Commission, with the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, and State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission all participating. We will create a Zhulong Green Channel to expedite all project-related budgets, approvals, and resource allocations, bypassing conventional processes, addressing each matter individually as it arises. If necessary, I can report directly to the Standing Committee. His tone was resolute, his usually gentle visage now etched with undeniable decisiveness. Talent is of paramount importance, asserted the leader overseeing science and education, adjusting his glasses, his keen gaze behind the lenses sharp. I suggest we immediately conduct a secret selection process nationwide under the auspices of a national special strategic project. I will draft the list, encompassing theoretical physics, materials science, plasma physics, high-energy physics, biochemistry, neuroscience, and even paleography and cryptography, all relevant fields, enlisting the most elite, reliable, and core personnel in their prime. Current assignments will be suspended, with a unified external statement indicating participation in a national-level long-term, closed project. His words painted a vast network covering the nation's top intellectual resources. Confidentiality is a lifeline, stated another leader responsible for political and legal affairs, his voice grave and serious. The confidentiality level of the Zhulong project must be elevated to unprecedented heights. I propose the establishment of an independent internal security and counter-espionage command, led by elite forces from the National Security Agency, embedded within the project. All personnel privy to the information, including newly assigned researchers, must undergo the highest level of background checks and sign lifetime confidentiality agreements. Internal project information should be managed in a fragmented manner, with no unnecessary cross-sharing. His gaze swept over those present. Carrying an invisible pressure, we must assume that the enemy's spies are everywhere. Any hint of leakage could lead to our utter ruin. The meeting's leader, who had been listening intently, nodded slightly. He did not glance at the specific proposals, but turned his gaze back to Vice Chairman Liu on the video link. Comrade Jinghua, the meeting leader's voice was steady yet laden with weight. You are on the front lines and most familiar with the situation. What is your opinion? Vice Chairman Liu, seated upright on the other side of the screen, resembled a snow-covered pine. With a deep, contemplative voice, he responded, Leaders, comrades. I fully agree with the suggestions made earlier. I believe there are 3 core tasks at hand. First, we must ensure the physical and mental well-being of the advance team. They are our eyes and arms, and any misstep is unacceptable. Second, we must concentrate our efforts on prioritizing the unraveling of the Ling Nang stone mystery and the composition of the otherworldly materials, as this will serve as the fulcrum for leveraging our entire technological system. Third, we must immediately begin planning our next exploration. We require more comprehensive samples and information, particularly regarding the reasons for that civilization's demise and the true threat level of the insectoid species. He paused, his tone growing graver. I have a foreboding sense that what we have unlocked may not merely be a treasure trove, but rather a Pandora's box. We must possess sufficient strength to confront whatever may follow. Chapter 30. Quietly advancing from all directions, a brief silence enveloped the conference room. Vice Chairman Liu's words fell like a bucket of cold water, abruptly awakening minds clouded by the enormity of the opportunity. Opportunity and risk have always been 2 sides of the same coin. The meeting's leader slowly rose, his movements deliberate, emanating an aura of resoluteness. Everyone stood in unison, their gazes fixed upon him. Comrades, his voice resonated through the quiet conference room. The opinions have been unified, and the direction is clear. His gaze, tangible in its intensity, swept over every face present. I hereby announce the official launch of the Zhulong National Special Strategic Project. A special decision-making leadership group will be formed, with myself as the group leader. It will include a technological research command, a resource support command, and a security and confidentiality command. Comrade Liu Jinghua will serve as the frontline commander stationed at Zero Zone, endowed with the authority for immediate decision-making. All departments and units must unconditionally comply with the needs of the project, dismantling all barriers to form the strongest synergy. We shall mobilize the entire nation to win this critical battle for the future of our nation. A technological renaissance. Dismissed. There were no grandiose declarations, only the weighty responsibility and swift, decisive action directives. The moment the meeting concluded, the invisible machinery of the state began to hum into action at full capacity. Encrypted signals emanated from Long Hai, and phones were dialed from the offices of the attendees, heralding the commencement of a grand endeavor that would amalgamate the nation's most brilliant minds, richest resources, and strongest wills. In the capital, at the National Institute of Theoretical Physics. It was already late at night. Yet academician Zhao Weiman was wide awake, lost in thought as he faced a blackboard filled with complex equations, attempting to tackle a problem that had perplexed the international physics community for years. The tea on his desk had long since cooled. Just then, his office's red internal secure phone rang abruptly, shattering the night's tranquility. Furrowing his brow, Zhao picked up the receiver. This phone typically rang only in extreme emergencies. This is Zhao Weiman. On the other end was an old friend and a core leader of the Ministry of Science and Technology, his voice unusually grave, even tinged with undeniable urgency. Old Zhao, set aside all your current work, including your precious project. A task of the highest priority, codename Cornerstone. You are to sign the Dawn Agreement. A special vehicle will pick you up, destination classified. You have 2 hours to prepare. No, 1 hour. The highest level. Dawn Agreement? Academician Zhao was taken aback. He had heard of the Dawn Agreement. It involved a confidentiality level pertaining to the nation's ultimate fate. Signing it would mean severing all past social ties until the mission concluded or, even longer. Oldly, what is this task? Why the rush? Do not inquire. I only know the code name and the authority. Remember, old Zhao, this concerns the fate of the nation. The weight of the words hung heavily, and the line went dead, holding the now silent receiver. Zhao stared at the busy tone for a long moment. He glanced at the unfinished formulas on the blackboard, then out into the deep night. A profound sense of mission mingled with immense confusion surged within him. Taking a deep breath, without a hint of hesitation, he began swiftly organizing the most vital manuscripts and reference materials on his desk. He understood that his life's trajectory would undergo a profound transformation that very night. In the southwest, within a nationally recognized materials science laboratory, Dr. Su Qing, a young and distinguished materials scientist, had just concluded an overnight experiment and was preparing to return to her dormitory for some much-needed rest. However, the laboratory director, a venerable professor of high repute, awaited her at the door, his expression unusually grave. "Xiao Su, come with me immediately," he instructed, offering no further explanation as he led her into his office and locked the door behind them. Inside, two middle-aged men dressed in plain clothes, but with eyes as sharp as blades, were already seated. They presented their credentials from the National Security Committee. Dr. Su Qing, one of them began, his voice devoid of any emotion. "By the highest directive of the nation, you have been selected to participate in the SWORD program. Here are your transfer orders and a confidentiality agreement." He slid a thick document across the table towards her. Dumbfounded, Su Qing gazed at the file stamped with a vivid red top-secret seal, then glanced at the pale-faced director. "The SWORD program? Director, this." With great difficulty, the director replied. "Xiao Su, please sign it. I am not privy to the specifics, but I know that the nation needs your talents in its most critical hour." His eyes conveyed a complex mix of emotions, reluctance, concern, but predominantly a sense of entrustment. Su Qing's fingers trembled slightly as she perused the stringent terms of the agreement, her heart racing at the daunting clauses. Yet, upon reading phrases such as national paramount interests and the future of our people, she recalled her aspirations from her academic days. The countless nights spent toiling in the laboratory. Biting her lip, she picked up the pen and resolutely inscribed her name at the designated spot. Across the nation, similar scenes unfolded under the veil of absolute secrecy. An authority on high-energy particles was turned back at the airport and promptly whisked away in a special vehicle. A luminary in neuroscience was urgently recalled while en route to an international conference. A linguist, experienced in deciphering intricate codes, received a special reassignment notice from the highest academic authority. Even several chief engineers, whose identities were themselves classified, responsible for cutting-edge defense weapon systems, were ordered to immediately hand over their duties and proceed to a designated location. No one knew the precise nature of the mission, but the instructions they received bore a singular characteristic: highest priority, absolute confidentiality, and unquestionable authority. Confusion, astonishment, and even a hint of unease lingered in the hearts of the chosen ones. Yet they shared a commonality. Upon realizing that this might be the moment their country needed them most, a sense of duty transcending personal gain overwhelmed all other emotions. They silently bid farewell to their families, transferred their responsibilities, and at the appointed time and place, boarded vehicles with specially treated windows and strictly confidential routes. The convoy flowed like tributaries merging into a river, converging from all directions towards a singular destination, the Zero Zone. In the Zero Zone, the Security Command Center presented an atmosphere starkly contrasting the excitement of the research area. Chilling blue lights illuminated the vast wall of surveillance screens, which displayed real-time footage of every crucial corner inside and outside the base, from the corridors of the living quarters to the deepest laboratory airlock, from the camouflage facilities in the surrounding woodlands to every junction of the underground passageways. Standing before the command platform was Gao Yun, who had just been formally appointed as the head of internal security and defense for the zone. Before him stood not only members of the Dragon team, but also counter-espionage experts drawn from the most elite sectors of national security, chief engineers of cybersecurity, behavioral analysts, and commanders of field units responsible for perimeter vigilance. A bespectacled, efficient national security expert was reporting, his tone as devoid of emotion as the data he analyzed. According to the fragmented management principle, independent confidentiality files have been established for all newly transferred researchers. Their research permissions will be strictly confined to specific modules, and any information exchange between different modules must be approved and recorded by the Security Committee. All internal communications, including the transmission of research data, will occur under rigorous surveillance. The head of cybersecurity interjected, "The internal network of the base has been physically isolated, and all interfaces have been disabled. Internal data transmission employs our latest chaos encryption algorithm, along with a multi-layer honeypot system. Any anomalous data packet sniffing or external connection attempts will trigger alarms within milliseconds and lock onto the source." However, Gao Yun's gaze was fixed on an inconspicuous corner of the screen, which displayed real-time monitoring of the living quarters. There, Chen Ziang had just gotten out of bed, his bare feet touching the cool floor as he approached the simulated window. Outside, a vibrant forest scene unfolded, shrouded in morning mist, with dewdrops glistening in the dawn light.